السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Fellow Muslims and cherished viewers, we welcome to this very platform, Maro Live. Inshallah, this was a debate that was supposed to happen. This is a debate that was supposed to happen yesterday. That's on the 18th of August, 2023. But unfortunately, due to some impediments beyond our control, we couldn't have the discussion or have the debate. So we rescheduled it to today. That is the 19th of August, 2023, on this very platform, Ma'ruf Live. And before I move on with anything, let me clarify this, or let me make this clear that Ma'ruf Live, we have various admins on it. So in case there is any chat or something, you shouldn't just assume that I'm the one chatting with it. There are admins that have that opportunity to also use the platform. I chose to use it for my few days I'll be on social media. So I'm also part of it. I created it and later handed it to some Muslim brothers. Okay, so guys, with me we have Baba Shuaib, and he is my interlocutor. So inshallah, we say, Baba Shuaib, you're welcome to Ma'ruf Live for this debate, inshallah.
Yeah, thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen. I hope they can hear sounding clearly today, inshallah. We are here again, once again. Yesterday it couldn't happen due to one or two issues. So hopefully today, inshallah, we will have a beneficial discussion and enjoy the program, inshallah.
Okay, so without wasting of much time, we have to straight go into the rules and regulations. Inshallah, we present that and then we move on from there. I don't want to talk much. Let's just, Mama, if you can, your sent it, okay. Okay, so brothers and sisters, as we can see, this is the rules and regulations clearly on our screen. We have Siddiq Salih and Baba Shuaib. Topic, as we can see, does the Hadith explains the Quran or not? So this is the topic. I'm making emphasis on the topic because in the rules and regulations, we are not supposed to go off the topic, and that is we're going to see the relationship, whether there is a correlation, a relationship between the Quran and then the Hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam distinguishedly explains the Quran. So that is the first one. That's the topic of discussion, and then we have 2 minutes each for introduction and representation, and then 15 minutes each for the actual presentation of the argument. Okay, so then we have 10 minutes each for rebuttals, and then 30 minutes for how do you call it, cross-examination, or what Baba had as back and forth. Okay, so then with that, with the 30 minutes, everyone is going to have 15 minutes each, as we said. When there is a question which is an open-ended question, then the answerer will have at most 5 minutes to answer that question. What we mean by open-ended question is a question that needs further explanation, a question that doesn't need A or B, yes or no, a question that needs further explanation. The answerer will then have 5 minutes at most to answer such a question. Okay, if I'm not leaving anything, then the rules. Number 1, no insults. Number 2, no mocking. Unfortunately, yesterday when I wasn't online, Baba was saying a lot. Meanwhile, he was the same person who actually put these things together. saying that it is God that is saving me. It is what they did, and that's why my network. Anyways, maybe today Baba said the way he's ready. So today, inshallah, we'll give him the whip and the horse, and we'll see how far he will go, inshallah. Okay, so number 3 is no interruption. No interruption. Let me increase the brightness a bit. Okay, no interruption unless if there is a misquotation or mistake by the speaker. Number 4, no off-topic issues. That is why I was emphasizing on the topic or the subject of discussion. Number 5 is every statement will be backed by tangible evidences or sources of information. And number 6 is one can plead for extra 2 minutes added time to finish a point if needed. Okay, so like we said, the last part is the question and answer session, which the audience, you, the cherished audience, will have the opportunity at the end. When we are done with the cross-examination, the floor will then be open for the audience to also ask their questions. But then I'm thinking if it should be a phone call or how do you call it? A message. The person will type the message here, and then how do you call it? We are going to read it out for everyone to hear. But what do you think? Because if it's a call, I think making it, how do you call it? A text would be better, inshallah.
If it's a text, fine. But if it's a call, in case somebody wants to call, let me see. I can give my public number out where people can call on WhatsApp to ask the question. Then I'll put it on speaker, so it will be
no problem,
audible for everybody to hear when the time arises.
No problem. So the questions will be at the comment section. At the comment section, get it to the later part, because if you make it too early, maybe we cannot detect it. So you will get into the later part, then you can ask your questions. Okay, so without wasting of much time, there is a timer. So when we start, let me go back. When we start the discussion, I'll then exhibit the timer, and then that's what we are going to go by. If it's off, like it is stated, if the person has not finished, the person has the opportunity to plead for extra 2 minutes to finish his submission. Okay, so without wasting of much time, as we've all seen, we will go straight into the discussion, inshallah. So we will start with the first one.
Maybe before we start,
anything to say?
Yeah, before we start with the introduction, I don't know if there's any link I can get to share to my audience on YouTube, because it seems we are only streaming via Facebook. So I don't know if you have any link that is able to be shared. Does it give you any option on your side?
A link, let me see. Okay, the only link is the link I sent to you to join.
Yeah, that one is for me. So I don't know if the other one, but
I think you can check your Facebook. You can check your Facebook. Here.
Yeah, let me do this. Let me share the link on my comment section on Facebook where people can actually join.
Okay.
Wait, just a minute. So I do this and copy the link. Then I put it in the comment section, YouTube. Then we can start with the intro.
Okay, I'm seeing if I'm able to copy a link from here. Okay, so I've also been able to copy anyways. Sharing to my wall. Okay. Have you been able to share?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm coming. I'm also sharing the platform if it will be possible. Okay. Okay, so I hope we can start now.
Yeah, so we go with the intro. I think it's your turn to just make the intro, just like we
Okay,
started
sure,
yesterday.
sure, sure.
Go ahead and do it.
So guys, like we've mentioned, let me put the timer. Let me put the timer before I start. Oh, you've not set that timer, the 2 minutes timer.
No, the timer is there, so you just click on it. It will appear on the. Just click on it. It will come up, like that. So you can
Yes.
you can let it restart again. You can pull the arrow. You see, there's a pause option, and where you can pull the arrow to start the video backwards like this, like I just did. So now the option is there. So if we click on it to start, the timer comes on the screen. We have the option to pause it or let it keep going.
Okay.
Do you see? So you can pause it or you can pull the arrow backwards to start it from number 2 minutes like this.
Okay, sure. Okay, so I think I've gotten it, but then I have to put it at some corner that
Yeah, there should be the options on StreamYard. They give you the options down there on this
yeah,
four
I've seen
squares.
it. I'm trying to check which one will be better.
You see, there's an edit option there. You see edit like a pen. If you click on
Yeah.
it, you can even edit it and push it the distance in the corner.
Okay, let me see. Okay, let me try that once more and see. Okay, this way is better, right? Can you see the screen?
Yeah, this is okay. Yeah, I can see.
Okay, so okay, I think we are good to go then. Okay. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, let me put the timer on and then we start from there. Okay, so my name is Siddiq Salis, and on this topic, whether the Quran defines the Hadith, sorry, the Hadith explains the Quran or not, I'm representing the position of the Muslims that lived with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Sahaba, and how they transmitted this religion from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to the Tabi'un, and then the Tabi'un also transmitted it to those who follow them in righteousness until today. So that is the position of the Muslims. That is over 2 billion Muslims representing that position, that the Quran and the Sunnah were two revelations given to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. However, the Quran has its meaning technically with regards to Islam, and then the Hadith technically, I mean istilahiyan, meaning technically, the Hadith also has its meaning. So I'm not talking about lughatan, linguistically. Quran means this, and then Hadith means this. I'm talking about technically how Muslims have understood what the Quran is and what the Hadith is today. The people who say that they believe in the Quran alone, not I, Siddiq Salis, saying that they are non-Muslims. They have been regarded as non-Muslims over the years. So this is not Siddiq Salis saying it. They hide behind the Quran to distort Islam, just like Some people will hide behind Ahlul Bayt, the household of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to distort Islam. Some people also hide behind the love of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, again to distort the Quran. Some people also hide behind how do you call it, prophethood or lugha, linguistic, and then they also distort the Quran. This is our position, that these people, they are non-Muslims. Oh, inshallah, my time is up, so I have to end it here, and then inshallah, we take that of Mr. Shahid. Okay, so let me pause it. Okay.
Yeah, you can set it at 2.
Okay, so when you, if I click on it, it will start.
Back. No, I mean you pull it backwards,
okay,
then
sure.
you go play.
Sure. So you can start.
Yeah. I seek refuge with Allah against the accursed devil. Have you played it?
Start.
Yes. By the way, my name is Baba Shraib, aka the Correctional Officer, born in Accra, Ghana, a Quranic researcher and a critical thinker based on religion. I do online lectures based on the guidance of the Quran on platforms such as Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. A diploma in information technology in the year 2012 in Finland, over 10 years of experience in sales and marketing and logistics in Finland, and over 13 years QBE in classical Arabic, MSc, and Quranic Arabic. I am a Muslim who follows the Quran, just as the Prophet does in Quran chapter 27, verse 91 to 92, where he says, وَأُمِرْتُ أَنْ أَكُونَ مِنَ الْمُسْلِمِينَ وَأَنْ أَتْلُوَ الْقُرْآنِ. So he has been commanded to be of the Muslims, and again to be of somebody who recites the Quran, which has already been explained by God, which is Allah, and as the only source of guidance in Islam. So today I'm here to defend the notion of the Quran being self-explanatory by God himself and none else. So this is what I represent, the Quran for the source of guidance and self-explanatory. So the Hadith has no room for the Quran to be explained. It is the Quran and God himself explaining his own words. This is what I represent, and that's why we are here. Thank you all for coming.
Okay, so you have 23 seconds left.
No, we can end
forward it. Oh, okay.
So we can just move on to the presentation.
Okay. So that one has 50 minutes, right? That one has 50 minutes, right?
The presentation will have 15 minutes.
15 minutes
yes.
each. Oh, you not sent me a time on that, right? Or you sent it?
It's there. You check the 3 options. You see the timer. It has the options.
Okay, I'm checking.
There.
Okay, I think I've seen it.
Yeah. So before I start, you can take it back, pull the arrow or this thing back, pause it. Then when you want me to start, you tell me. Then you start.
Okay, so Abba Shabai will be starting with his first 50 minutes, which we've set the timer on that to make his first presentation.
Okay. Yes. So my presentation, does the Hadith explain the Quran? The answer is a big no. No, it doesn't. It's a big no. According to Quran chapter 4, verse 82, God says, أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنَ وَلَوْ كَانَ مِنْ عِنْدِ غَيْرِ اللَّهِ لَوَجِدُوهُ فِيهِ اخْتِلَافًا كَثِيرًا. So God said, do they then not contemplate the Quran? And had it been from other than God, they would have found therein numerous contradictions, or we can say discrepancies. Now, how can books which are full of doubts and contradictions explain a book which has no doubt and contradiction? How can that be? That is just nonsensical. Chapter 4, verse 174. God is telling us clearly that he has brought us a proof from him. And what is the proof? The proof can be found in Quran chapter 4, verse 174, where God is telling us, Ya ayyuhan nas, qad ja'akum burhanun min rabbikum wa anzalna ilaykum nuran mubina. And what does God intend by this? God is telling us, O you mankind, a proof has come to you from your Lord, and we have revealed to you a clear light. Right? So when we say burhan, we are talking about any factual evidence that helps to establish the truth of something. Second meaning, the act of validating, finding or testing the truth of something. So God has revealed to us the burhan, which gives you nur and mubin, a clear light. So then we go. We go to Quran chapter 16, verse 89, where God is telling the Prophet, in the middle of the verse, he says, وَنَزَّلْنَا عَلَيْكَ الْكِتَابَ تِبْيَانًا لِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ. Then God is telling him, وَهُدًى وَرَحْمَةً وَبُشْرَى لِلْمُسْلِمِينَ. And we have revealed the book to you, Muhammad alayhi salam, as a clarification. Tibiyanan, clarification. You can say elucidation, clarification, explanation, declaration, as a clarification for all things and as guidance, number one, mercy, number two, and good news for the what? Muslims, submitters. Then we go, chapter 6, verse 105. Then he says, وَكَذَلِكَ نُصَرِّفُ الْآيَاتِ وَلِيَقُولُوا دَرَسْتَ وَلِنُبَيِّنَهُ لِقَوْمِ يَعْلَمُونَ. Thus have we conducted the verses that they may say, you, Muhammad alayhi salam, have studied, so that we may clarify it. You see, lubayyinahu, nubayyinahu. This masculine pronoun denotes the book, the Quran, where God says, to the people who know. So then we go again, Quran chapter 75, verse 16 up to verse 19, where God is telling the Prophet, La tuharrik bihi lisanaka lita'ajala bihi. Do not move your tongue with it in order to hasten with the Quran. Then God says, Inna alayna jama'ahu wa Qur'anahu. Indeed, upon us is the collection, that is the gathering of it, and its reading. Then God says, فَإِذَا قَرَأْنَاهُ فَاتَّبِعُوا قُرْآنَهُ. Then he says, so when we read it, then follow its reading. Then what happens? Thumma inna alayna, not alayka, alayna bayanahu. Then indeed upon us, it is what? Clarification that is done by God. So we go to Quran chapter 3, verse 138, where God says, haza bayanun linnas. So the bayan you are looking for, it's found in the Quran. God says, haza, not something else. This is bayanu. This is the clarification. This is the declaration. This is what? Elucidation. This is explanation. For what? For the people, mankind in general, and as guidance and preachment for the what? The pious, muttaqin. Then again, we go to Quran chapter 55, verse 1 to verse 4, where God says, Ar-Rahman, allama al-Quran, khalaqa al-insan, allamahu al-bayan. The gracious, he taught the Quran. He created the human being. He taught him the what? The declaration, the elucidation, the clarification, the explanation. Where do we find it? Quran chapter 3, verse 138. Haza bayan linnas. So we go to Quran chapter 41, verse 3. God is telling us, Kitabun fussilat ayatuhu. He's talking about how the Quran has been what? Elaborated. So God is telling us, Kitabun fussilat ayatuhu Qur'anan Arabiyan liqawmin ya'lamun. So God is clearly telling you and I that a book whose verses have been what? Elaborated. An Arabic reading for people who know. So if you don't know, don't say it has not been elaborated. Quran chapter 11, verse 1. Let's see what God is telling us in that verse. So God says, Alif Lam Ra, Kitabun uhkimat ayatuhu, thumma fussilat min ladun hakimin khabir. So God is again telling us, Alif Lam Ra, a book whose verses have been what? Uhkimat, mastered. We can say precise. It has been made precise. It has been mastered. Then elaborated by the what? The wise and what? Cognizant. Yet we still have people who say the Quran has not been elaborated. Quran chapter 7, verse 52. God is clearly telling us about the Quran, the book, where he says, وَلَقَدْ جِينَاهُمْ بِكِتَابٍ فَصَّلْنَاهُ عَلَىٰ إِلْمٍ هُدًى وَرَحْمَةً لِقَوْمِ يُؤْمِنُونَ. So God is telling us again by saying, and we have suddenly brought them a book which we have detailed upon knowledge, or we can say by knowledge, as guidance and mercy for people who believe. Yes, I believe. Then again, if you go to Quran chapter 6, verse 114, God is clearly telling us, he says, أَفَغَيْرِ اللَّهِ أَبْتَغِي حَكَمًا وَهُوَ الَّذِي أَنزَلَ إِلَيْكُمُ الْكِتَابَ مُفَصَّلًا وَالَّذِينَ آتَيْنَاهُمُ الْكِتَابَ يَعْلَمُونَ أَنَّهُ مُنَزَّلٌ مِنْ رَبِّكَ بِالْحَقِّ فَلَا تَكُونَنَّ مِنَ الْمُمْتَرِينَ. God is clearly telling us, so shall I seek a judge other than Allah, while he is the one who has revealed to you, ilaykum jama'u, then the book, al-kitab, mufassala, explained in detail, elaborated what? In detail. Then it's asking you, and those to whom we gave the book know that it has been revealed from your Lord in truth. So do not be of the doubters. Then he's telling us in chapter 6, verse 115, by completing that statement, then he says, وَتَمَّتْ كَلِمَةُ رَبِّكَ صِدْقًا وَعَدْلًا لَا مُبَدِّلَ لِكَلِمَاتِهِ وَهُوَ السَّمِيعُ الْعَلِيمُ. So God is telling us the word of your Lord is complete in truth and justice. There is no alteration to his words, for he is the hearing, the omniscient. So when we go to Quran chapter 25, verse 33, many a time the sectarians would tell us that the Quran needs another tafsir to explain it. But God is saying, وَلَا يَعْتُونَكَ بِمَثَلٍ إِلَّا جِئْنَاكَ بِالْحَقِّ وَأَحْسَنَ التَّفْسِيرَ. So God is clearly telling us that, and they do not come to you, Muhammad alayhi salam, with an instance, with a case, with an example, with an argument, but we have brought you al-haq, that is the truth, which is the Quran, and best in what? Tafsir, explanation. Best in what? Commentary. So if something is already best in what it is, what again does it need to explain it or give commentary on it? Nothing. So when we go to Quran chapter 39, verse 23, God says, Allahu nazzala al-ahsan al-hadith kitaban mutashabihan mathaniya taksha'irru minhu juludun lazina yakhshawna rabbahum thumma talinu juluduhum wa qulubuhum ila zikrillah. ذَلِكَ هُدَى اللَّهِ يَهْدِي بِهِ مَنْ يَشَاءُ. Then he says, وَمَنْ يُضْلِلِ اللَّهُ فَمَا لَهُ مِنْ هَادٍ. So God is clearly telling us that God has revealed the best hadith, the best discourse. Then he says what? A book, similarly repeating, the skins of those who fear their Lord shiver thereof. That's their skins and their hearts soften to the remembrance of God. That is the guidance of God, by which he guides whomever he wills. As for one whom God leaves astray, then he will have no guide. So this is the challenge God is giving the people. Chapter 17, verse 88. God is saying to the messenger to tell, Kul inni jitama'atul insu wal jinna ala an yatu bimithli hadha al-Qur'an la ya'tuna bimithli. Indeed, if the humans and the jinns will confer in order to bring the like of the Quran, they cannot bring the like of this Quran. Then God is telling us, even if they were assistants to each other. So to simplify this, we go to Quran chapter 45, verse 6 to verse 8. And God is going to end the argument by saying what? Tilka ayatullahi natluha alayka bilhaqq, to the Prophet, right? For bi ayyi hadithi ba'dallahi wa ayati yuminun. وَيْلٍ لِكُلِّ أَفَّاكٍ أَثِيمٍ يَسْمَعُ آيَاتِ اللَّهِ يُتْلَى عَلَيْهِ ثُمَّ يُصِرُّ مُسْتَكْبِرًا كَأَن لَّمْ يَسْمَعْهَا فَبَشِّرْهُ بِعَذَابٍ أَلِيمٍ. So God is clearly telling us, these are the verses of God which we recite to you, Muhammad alayhi salam, in truth. So in which hadith, in which discourse, after God, Allah, and his ayat, verses, will they believe? We all know Sahih Bukhari hadith are not the verses of God. We all know Sahih Muslim are not the verses of God. So why waste your time? Then he says, woe to every sinful liar. Who are they? They know themselves. Who hears the verses of God? Ayatullah, not Sahih Bukhari, right? Ayatullah being recited to him, then insists arrogantly as if he had not heard them. Then God says it, therefore announce to him of a painful punishment. So now I'm asking the sectarians. Chapter 37, verse 156 to 157. Am lakum sultanun mubin fa'atu bi kitabikum in kuntum swadikin. Do you have any authority? You have a clear authority? Then bring your book if you should be truthful. This is my presentation, and this is my 15 minutes, and this is where I bring it to an end. I leave the rest for later on. Thank you.
Okay, you have 5 minutes more. Would you like to utilize it, or we should continue?
Maybe I can add something. Let me add something.
Okay, sure.
Now, many a time the sectarians will tell us that it is the hadith which I explain. Yet they give their own definitions of hadith. They don't have anything, right, to give us. It is on their own definition of what hadith is. They will say it is the what? The sunnah of the prophet and whatever have you. That is what they do. Now, what happens is, when you go to Quran chapter 6, verse 19, the prophet himself He said, وَأُوهِيَ إِلَيَّ هَذَا الْقُرْآنِ لِأُنْذِرَكُمْ بِهِ وَمَنْ بَلَغَ. The Prophet says the Quran has been inspired to him in order to warn us by it and whomever it may reach. Right? Then again, Quran chapter 50, verse 45. The Prophet again was told, فَذَكِّرْ بِالْقُرْآنِ مَنْ يَخَافُ وَحِيدٍ. He should use the Quran to remind the people by it, whoever fears the threat of God. Quran chapter 27, verse 92. And he's been told, وَأَنْ أَتْلُوَ الْقُرْآنِ. He has to recite the Quran. That is what has been given to him to do, to recite the Quran, to warn by the Quran, and to do what? To what? Remind the people by the Quran and nothing else. So whenever you hear people telling you the Prophet has been given 2 revelations, according to Quran chapter 47, verse 2, Prophet Muhammad was only given 1 revelation, and chapter 47 is going to reveal that. وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ وَآمَنُوا بِمَا نُزِّلَ عَلَى مُحَمَّدٍ. Then God says, وَهُوَ الْحَقِّ. It didn't say 2 things. Huwa means a masculine pronoun. وَهُوَ الْحَقِّ. It was one thing revealed to him for the guidance of the people. Then again, if you hear people telling you he has been given 2 revelations, that is a contradiction. Quran chapter 17, verse 73, right? Quran chapter 17, verse 73. God says, وَإِن كَادُوا لَيَفْتِنُونَكَ عَنِ الَّذِي أَوْحَيْنَا إِلَيْكَ لِتَفْتَرِيَ عَلَيْنَا غَيْرَهُ وَإِذًا لَاتَّخَذُوكَ خَلِيلًا. And God says, and indeed they were about to tempt you away from that which we have what? Revealed to you, that is inspired to you, أوحينا إليك, in order to invent or to fabricate something about God. غيره, other than it was one revelation given to him to give to the people as guidance for mankind. So that is the Quran. There is no other external source we have to go to for the guidance of the people. And this is what I represent. Yeah, I still have time. So let's go again. So many a times again, what the sectarians actually think is that the Quran has been revealed to us, but we have to go to an external source. The external source is the one going to explain the words of God, which is already self-explanatory. I've given you verses which actually gives you the evidence that the Quran has been explained. The Quran has been elaborated. The Quran has been clarified by God. But yet sectarians will tell you, no, it takes their hadith to understand the words of God. Look at this illogical argument. God's words being explained by a man who doesn't have authority to explain his words. They will tell you Muhammad alayhi salam is the what? Mufassir of the Quran, and yet we don't have the tafsir of Muhammad himself. No book ever exists on this earth called Tafsir al-Muhammad. They don't have it. If they have it, MashaAllah, Sadiq Salis is here today. He will present that book for us to see where it says Tafsir Muhammad, and that Muhammad gave to the people, this is my tafsir, take it, and it will explain the Quran. It never exists in their syllables. So again, what people, the misconceptions they normally have is when you go to Quran chapter 28, verse 47, it clearly gives you the evidence. When messengers come to the people, what the people have to follow is the verses of God. So these people in the example of 28, verse 47, what they are saying is, our Lord, why did you not send a Rasul, that is a messenger to us, then we could follow your verses and be among the believers. So if the verses of God are not to guide you, are not to give you the chance to follow and practice your deen, why are these people going to be telling God that why didn't you send us a messenger where we could follow your verses? So you can see the evidences I presented from the Quran. Quran chapter 4, verse 174, the Burhan, the proof God has given you and I is the Quran and is found in the book of God, not outside the book of God. That is the proof. Remember, the Quran is called Al-Furqan. That's why he says, Sharu Ramadan allazi unzila fihi al-Quran hudan linnas, right? So guidance for mankind, and a guidance should be a clear book. And that's why Quran is called Quran al-Mubin or Kitab al-Mubin. So in this case, how can a wise book need an external source to be explained, where it says Quran al-Hakim? This is why I bring my presentation to an end. Thank you.
Okay. So that's Baba Shoaib's 50 minutes, and that has been fully exhausted. At a point, he was leaving it at 10 minutes. But anyway, so I am about to begin my 50 minutes. So let me start. الحمد لله وكفى والصلاة والسلام على المصطفى وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه Amma ba'du. I can't hear your voice, but takbir. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Guys, I'm saying Allahu Akbar because after I have made sure that these people are actually the definition of the words of the Quran in terms of misguidance and in terms of the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in terms of the ulama, indeed, that is exactly what he presented himself to be. So inshallah, inshallah, we are going to, today I'm going to do less of the hadith al-munawwara, inshallah. Okay, so first of all, I'll take it from Surah Al-Hajj. I'll take the first ayah from Surah Al-Hajj, just a description of these people, and then inshallah we'll move on from there. Surah Al-Hajj, the verse number 8. Surah Al-Hajj, verse number 8. Those of you who have the Quran, inshallah, you can open the Quran. That is verse 7 to 8. That Quran chapter 22, verse 7 to 8. Where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he said, وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يُجَادِلُ فِي اللَّهِ بِغَيْرِ عِلْمٍ وَلَا هُدًى وَلَا كِتَابٍ مُنِيرٍ. وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يُجَادِلُ فِي اللَّهِ. There are among people, the people who argue in the issues of Allah. بِغَيْرِ عِلْمٍ, without knowledge. وَلَا هُدًى, without guidance. وَلَا كِتَابٍ مُنِيرٍ, and without a book of light or a law of light. So inshallah, today we are going to give Baba his own pill to take. I'm taking it from the verse that says Kitab Munir. But before then, I said he has fallen. You see this verse where Allah said, وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يُجَادِلُ فِي اللَّهِ بِغَيْرِ عِلْمٍ وَلَا هُدًى وَلَا كِتَابٍ مُنِيرٍ. This is exact description. No knowledge, no guidance, and then no book of light. The verse then says, number 8 says, ثَانِيَ عِتُفِهِ لِيُضِلَّ عَنْ سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. They are arrogant. They are arrogant so that they will keep on misguiding people from the path of Allah. Allah said, subhanahu wa ta'ala, he said, لَهُ فِي الدُّنْيَا خِزْيٌ. Allah said, for him in this world is disgrace. Allah is going to disgrace him. وَنُذِيقُهُ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ عَذَابَ الْحَرِيقِ. And on the day of judgment, a severe punishments await them. Now let's go back to the same verse, verse 8. وَمِنَ النَّاسِ. That's verse 8. وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يُجَادِلُ فِي اللَّهِ. From among people are those who argue in the issues of Allah. بِغَيْرِ عِلْمٍ. Then Allah mentioned knowledge. وَلَا هُدًى. Then Allah mentioned guidance. وَلَا كِتَابٍ مُنِيرٍ. And without a book of light. Now the Quran we all know is Kitab Munir. Muslims here, do you doubt that the Quran of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala given to Muhammad is a guidance? Does any Muslim have doubt in that? Does any Muslim have doubt that the Quran is Ahsanul Hadith? No Muslim on the surface of the earth has doubt in this. Therefore, these people, like I described them, if you study developmental psychology, at the stage of a kid, I don't have at the age of a kid, he asked what the kid reaches a stage where we call schema. So you know schema? Schema is the stage of the kid where he thinks he makes how do you call it? Descriptions for himself. So whenever he sees, for example, any animal with 4 legs, the kid calls it dog. So goat, he calls it dog. Pig, he calls it dog. Anything he calls it dog. That is the age of schema, and that is where these people are. Secondly, then they have egocentrism. Egocentrism is where they think that what they know is what we call knowledge, what we call logic. When he was speaking, he mentioned the word logic, and I'll come back to that. Let me quickly move on. Allah mentioned knowledge, then he mentioned guidance, then he mentioned Kitab Munir. Kitab Munir, we believe that that is the Quran. What is the knowledge? The knowledge is what the Quran came with. The recitation, when it is being recited and it is not being understood, that is not knowledge. Then Allah said, Hudan, guidance. What is the guidance then? What is the guidance? Anyone who has been to any institution, anyone who has been to any school at all in this world, knows that we have some people called tutors. They are the guides. Although you have your textbook, but then you have the lecturer. And I'm going to give a clear, and today I'm going to let them know that, wallahi, they mention common sense and they don't have common sense. They mention, how do you call it, logic, and they don't know what logic is. Anyone who has studied law or is in the school of law today, anyone who is in the school of law today, I have my brother with me, he's also in the school of law. When we say manslaughter in law, when, for example, it is said that this person has been charged, Mr. So and so has been charged for manslaughter, this statement is clear. Everyone understood what it has been said. But anyone who has never been to the school of law or has never studied law have no idea what the, although you have heard what they said, but wallah, you have no guidance, because manslaughter, if someone likes, the person should, how do you call it, translate it right now under this comment section. Let's see how they are going to translate it. They may translate as someone who has killed someone, but manslaughter means that someone who has mistakenly, not intended, killed someone. That is manslaughter. Who explains this to us? Although the textbook says manslaughter, it is the teacher, and that is Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So that is the first one. Second one, he made use of the word bayan. We all heard it. Bayan. The word bayan or mubin is from the word bana yubinu bayan and what tibiyanan. You can hear him saying, quoting a verse of tibiyanan. Inshallah, guys, let's look at the meaning of bayan in the first place. The meaning of bayan can be many things. Number one, it can be furqan, meaning to distinguish between good and bad. Indeed, the Quran distinguishes between good and bad. Allah called the Quran furqan. The Quran, again, is the meaning of bayan is izhar, to make something plain. So the Quran making, like I mentioned, I gave an example, an analogical example, like someone who the judge says that you have been charged for manslaughter. This is a clear statement. It is eloquent. Everyone heard it. The Quran is eloquent. The Quran is clear in what it says. But then who tells us its meaning? Sometimes the Quran will come with a different verse, which is called Quran, tafsir al-Quran bil Quran, and every Muslim believes in this. The Quran will come and explain itself. For example, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in some cases, will use a verse to define a verse. But right now, what I'm going to do is to go into the verse, some of the verses he used in the interest of bayan, to say that the Quran is bayan, so therefore it doesn't need anything. The Quran bayan means it distinguishes between good from bad. Number two is to make something clear. The Quran is a clear speech, meaning we hear it. When it is being recited, it is so clear. It is not ambiguous in the way, it is not, how do you call it, twisted. It is not something that is not clear of Arabic language. It's Arabiyyim. It's Arabiyyim mubin. It's clear Arabic language. But then does it mean it has no teacher? Inshallah, as we will see, as we move on, we are going to bring him verses to tell us the meaning from the Quran, inshallah. So number one, let's go to Surah Al-Zukhruf. Surah Al-Zukhruf, that is chapter 43, verse 52, without wasting of much time. Surah Al-Zukhruf, that is chapter 43, verse 52. Let's listen to the kalima bayan or mubin. When Fir'aun was talking to Musa alayhi salatu wasalam, he said, Am ana khayrun min hadha alladhi huwa mahinun wa la yakadu yubin. Wa la yakadu yubin. Fir'aun said to Musa alayhi salatu wasalam, when he was trying to criticize Musa for not being clear in his tongue, he said, Am ana khayrun. Musa said, Fir'aun, he said, am I better min hadha, or this one that alladhi huwa mahin, that is a nobody, wala yakadu yubin, and he cannot even speak well. The Quran speaks well, and we hear what the Quran, it is not hidden. The Quran, the verses of the Quran is not hidden. It is open for everyone to see. Due to time, I'll just use some few verses, and then inshallah, maybe when we come back. Now, Quran chapter 65, verse 1. That is Surah Al-Talaq. Let's listen to what the kalima again, by mubin or bayan there, or bayina there. Wait, it doesn't mean explanation. That's my point. My point is the how do you call it, bayan or mubin doesn't necessarily, now the English doesn't necessarily mean explain. And that is the ignorance of these people. They take, like I said, they have a schema. So everywhere they see 4 legs of an animal, they say goat. Surah Al-Talaq, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he said to the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Ya ayyuhan nabiyyu idha talaqtum an-nisa fatalliquhunna li'iddatihinna wa ahsul l'idda wattaqullaha rabbakum la tukhrijuhunna min buyutihinna wa la yakhrujna illa an ya'tina bi fahishatin mubayyina. Allah said illa an ya'tina bi fahishatin. That Allah said mubayyina. Allah used the word mubayyina, unless Allah said, unless the ladies come out with clear or something that can be seen, an evil act, meaning how do you call it, adultery, or an evil act that can be seen. So mubayyina here, the scholar, they said mudahira or zahiratan, something that can be seen, and that doesn't mean explanation. So that is the ignorance. The ignorance here is that wherever they say mubin or bayan, then they say what? They say explanation. The Quran has explained itself. No, the Quran is saying that it is clear in its language. That does not mean it doesn't need any, how do you call it, form of explanation. Now, he used, how do you call it, where Allah said, هَذَا بَيَانٌ لِلنَّاسِ. Wallahi, anyone who has a Quran should open that verse. Anyone who has a Quran should open that verse. Just type هَذَا بَيَانٌ لِلنَّاسِ وَهُدًى وَمَوْعِظَةً لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. And then you see these people, sometimes they make use of the word siyak. But siyak, why is it that this time around you left siyak, Baba Shuaib? Siyak means, they say it means context, which today I will be asking him the different types of qiyas if he actually know them. Let's go to the verse. The verse is in Surah Al Imran, that is verse 138. Verse 138, let's go and look at the context, because we are coming back to the word bayan again, which is separate from the Quran, the recitation of the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he said, sorry, verse 138, I think I opened a different verse. I just want to read from the top, inshallah. Now, Allah said, قَدْ خَلَتْ مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ سُنَنٌ فَسِيرُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ فَانْظُرُوا كَيْفَ كَانَ عَاقِبَةُ الْمُكَذِّبِينَ. When Allah was describing something from the top again, he said, أُولَٰئِكَ جَزَاؤُهُمْ مَغْفِرَةٌ مِنْ رَبِّهِمْ. After Allah explained something that he said, قَدْ خَلَتْ مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ. Some people have come before you, O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and this your ummah. He said, Sunanun, they have come with path. فَسِيرُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ. Therefore walk on the land. فَانْظُرُوا كَيْفَ كَانَ عَاقِبَةُ الْمُكَذِّبِينَ. And go and see how Allah has dealt with the evil ones. Then Allah said, هَذَا بَيَانٌ لِلنَّاسِ. If you go and see these people, this is a clear evidence to you. So here Allah wasn't referring to the Quran. You are a liar, Baba Shuaib. That Allah was, هذا بيان was referring to the Quran. Wallahi, هذا بيان was referring to Allah telling the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam to travel to tell the people to travel to the lands, to go and see how Allah dealt with the people before them. So هذا بيان, you lie that it is referring to the Quran. Now the next one. And I'm going to use that simple verse, inshallah. Allah said, لا تحرك به لسانك لتعجل به. The same verse you use. لا تحرك به لسانك لتعجل به. Do not hasten your tongue, O Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, in grasping the Quran. لا تحرك به لسانك. Bihi here is referring to the Quran. Allah said, إنا علينا جمعه وقرآنا. And this is where you feel. Allah said, we are going to gather, we are going to arrange the Quran, the huruf of the Quran for you. And Allah said, إنا علينا جمعه. It is for us to gather the Quran. For you, for its recitation. Then Allah said, ثُمَّ إِنَّ عَلَيْنَا بَيَانًا. Then Allah, ثُمَّ, when ثُمَّ comes in the verse, the one that comes after ثُمَّ doesn't mean, it is not the same thing that came before the ثُمَّ. And this is Arabic, simple Arabic principle. The one that came before ثُمَّ is not the same as the one that came after ثُمَّ. Baba Shuaib. Allah said, Thumma inna alayna bayana. So the Quran, again, when it is, the Quran has been mentioned already, then Allah said, it is for us to give the explanation. It's not Allah that is going to sound from the heavens, but it's going to give it to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam for that explanation. And therefore, Allah said to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that وَمَا أَنزَلْنَا. Allah said to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that it is you to define the Quran, or explain the Quran. Inshallah, my time is up, and I will end it here. In the next one, then we'll go to the next verses, inshallah.
First of all, before I go there, Siddiq, you called me a liar. I think we are supposed not to go against each other in that manner. You called me a liar, which goes against
that
the rules.
shouldn't be an issue. Go when you finish. When we
No,
finish the program, go and listen.
Let me
Go and listen to yourself when you were referring to the way you were describing. You were saying sectarians. You were saying this, and the way you were describing them. You put it there that there will be no mocking, there will be no this and that.
Let's be honest. Did I point you and say you, Siddiq?
No, I'm part of those you are talking about. So that shouldn't be issue. Let's move on.
Okay, no problem. Again,
I'm part of them. I'm part of those you are talking.
Again, it wasn't time for rebuttals, but you were already taking from my presentation and attacking me instead of going with your presentation. So you have failed in the first place.
Don't worry. That is for the audience to judge. It's for those who are listening. They want guidance to judge that, inshallah. So you can start.
So now, the next time we are now going for rebuttals. This is the time we have to do rebuttals. You are supposed to do presentation, but no problem. So the rebuttals, I'm going to deal with you step by step, whatever you do. So that one will be the 10 minutes. So you can choose the 10 minutes. Before it starts, you let me know. Then I can start dealing with you. Now, take it back. If I'm ready, you let me know. Then I can start. Let me take it back. So if I'm ready, then you can put it, right? So now the rebuttals, you can let it start. Siddiq came to me, he quoted chapter 22, verse 8, where God says, وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يُجَادِلُ فِي اللَّهِ بِغَيْرِ الْعِلْمِ وَلَا هُدًى وَلَا كِتَابٍ مُنِيرٍ. Right? Okay. So he quoted this verse and he's attributing this verse with me. What I am able to defend my first notion of instance by giving my evidence as a presentation on why the Quran doesn't need the Hadith for what? Explanation. The Quran is sufficient. Alhamdulillah. This guy went on to call the Prophet the teacher. He says Muhammad is the teacher of the Quran. Yet Siddiq couldn't provide one verse where God attributes Muhammad as the teacher of the Quran. If you say he's the teacher of Al-Kitab by teaching people, fine, I agree. But if you can find me one verse in the Quran where God says Muhammad is the teacher of the word Al-Quran, wallahi, you don't have such a verse. I'm waiting. Secondly, you said bayan. And then without quoting a source, you are giving us the meaning of bayan without a source. How can you bring rebuttals? You are rebutting somebody already, and you don't have a source for your argument. He says bayan, and then he went to bayan. He went to twist meaning by quoting 65 verse 1, mubayyinat. When I quoted my verses, I didn't quote any word called mubayyinat in my verses. Again, he goes to quote chapter 43 verse 52, yubayyin or yubin. He says Pharaoh used that word. Does Arabic words or do Arabic words actually have only one meaning? The answer is no. Arabic words have multiple meanings. However, you need to check the subject of discussion and context to get the meaning. Simple logic. This guy has failed. Quran chapter 3 verse 138. Let's school this guy a bit. He says the haza is used for people. Fadika baru. Haza wasn't intended for the people. If we say people, we say haulai or we say ulaika, those or these. They don't use haza for the people. We use haza in that verse for the thing being discussed. That's why God says haza bayan linnas. But you made a mistake saying that haza is intended for the people. In the academy, wallahi, you have borrowed big time. You could have said the ulaika or haulai. That is what is used, as used in Quran chapter 18 verse 89, when God told the messenger that you will be a witness to haulai, these people, right? So you have messed up. Quran chapter 3 verse 138, haza is denoting what is in front of you, the following. If you have studied Arabic, then wabon, you didn't do well. Now the rebuttals again. Instead of coming to do his presentations, now we don't have Siddiq's presentation. It's missing. Where's the presentation? Phew! Why dodge? So he came and took my verses, misquote me, and came presenting. Now I have to do rebuttals by coming to the verses he came to quote against me. This guy is out of coverage area. So I was even listening to the beginning. of his presentation. I thought, is it the debate we are doing, or we are coming here to preach? The guy is actually a preacher. I thought he's a debater. He's not even qualified to be a debater. I've done international debates. Like, this guy doesn't come next to them at all.
You are going off topic. Stick to the topic.
No. I didn't interrupt you. Please, wait. I didn't interrupt you. No. Siddiq, please, don't do that. I never.
You said when one is going off topic.
We have to extend my time. If you
so
interrupt.
Wait. External debate mean here?
Please. You are interrupting me.
Okay,
don't go against the rules. Let me put the rules on the screen. Don't interrupt me, please. You will extend 1 minute of my time for interrupting, right? I never interrupt you. Okay, so we are going to extend 1 minute of my time. Now we said the actual debate is to do a presentation. You never did. You came taking my verses and twisting words out of context. Come and give the rebuttals. No rebuttals. You did wisely. Everything you did was out of coverage area. There wasn't even presentation. Come and show us why the Hadith explains the Quran. You couldn't show anything. So now, Siddiq, the argument is you have made a claim. So come and rebut my claim now. You said Muhammad is the teacher of the Quran. Come and show us one explicit verse where it says Al-Quran, the teacher of Al-Quran. Because as far as I know, chapter 55, verse 1, Ar-Rahman, Allama al-Quran, Khalaq al-Insan, Allamahul Bayan. Allah is the teacher of the Quran. If you can give me one verse where it says Muhammad is the teacher of Al-Quran, listen to me, not Al-Kitab, Al-Quran, wallahi, I'll stop being a Muslim today. Again, secondly, you said Bayan, you quoted without a source. It means you don't know how many multiple meanings a word can have based on context. You went to quote Bayan. I don't know which verses you are quoting, but you quoted it out of context. It doesn't suit it. Chapter 43, verse 52, you went to quote Mubin concerning Fir'aun, whilst forgetting that one word in Arabic can have multiple meanings. You fail to understand that. Quran chapter 65, verse 1, concerning the talaq, you went there, mubayyinat, used there. I never quoted any verses relating to the word mubayyinat. But you fail to understand that when a word has a prefix and a suffix, it can have a different meaning. I never use mubayyinat. And again, we went, chapter 3, verse 138, you failed by using what? Haza to mean the people. That is wrong. You could have even done your best to find the word zalika. If God says zalika, then we can even say it's talking about something above. But for the people, you could have noticed that when we say ha'ula'i or we say ula'ika, then it means for the people. Haza is something in front of you. Just like Quran chapter 45, verse 11, God says haza hudan, something in front of you. Haza, the following. We've all been to the classroom academically. So your teacher is saying these are the following, or this is the following. You should know what is being presented to you in front of you. So you've quoted the verses out of context, and I'm sorry to say. Now, Siddiq, let me give you the rebuttal to deal with. Now, hadith against hadith. On the authority of Abu al-Yama, on the authority of Shu'aib, on the authority of Al-Zurri, Urwa bin Zubair, then we have narrated by Aisha. Please, can you mute your mic? You are interrupting my distance. Can you mute your mic on the air? So on the authority of narrated by Aisha, that is the hadith is found in Sahih al-Bukhari, 2155. According to the hadith, it says the Prophet said, why do some people impose conditions which are not present in the book of God? Whoever imposes a condition which is sharta, which is not in the book of God, that condition is invalid. Even if he imposes 100 conditions, for Allah's conditions is more binding and reliable. So according to your own hadith books, the Prophet is saying, Man ishtarata shartan laysa fi kitabillah fahuwa batil. What is a condition? An assumption on which rests the validity or effect of something. According to your own hadith books, which I don't believe, the God never asked me to believe in your books, but if you believe in this book, your hadith is telling you, and your prophet is telling you according to your own hadith, which you believe. I don't believe he said that. But if you impose a condition which is not found in the book of Allah, which we all know the book of Allah is Quran, It is not those books your scholars are fabricating and attribute to God and his messenger. If you impose a condition which is not found in the book of God, that condition is batila, is batil. So you should come and answer that. Why your prophet is telling you in your own hadith books that any condition you put which is not in the book of God, that condition is batil. You are bringing us conditions that if we don't believe in your hadith, we are kafirs. This is what you said in your presentation. We are kafirs. Quote me one verse from the Quran where it says, if I don't believe in an external hadith book, I'm a kafir. Wallahi, I'll stop being a Muslim if you can do that. That's the second challenge to you. Then again, the book of Zud and softening hearts, Sahih Muslim 3004. The Prophet is saying, لا تكتبوا أني ومن كتب أني غير القرآن فليمهه وحدثوا أني. You are now telling us that the Prophet has given you authority to write your hadith books. Now, according to your hadith books, which I don't believe, it is telling you do not write anything from the Prophet except the Quran. And whoever writes anything apart from the Quran should wipe it out, efface it, and narrate from him. Now, we all know narration is different from writing. If I say tell people something about me, it doesn't mean write it down. And he's talking to his people according to the context of your hadith. So if he's telling the people, just like God told him in chapter 93, verse 11, where he says, فَأَمَّا بِنِيمَةِ رَبِّكَ فَحَدِّثْ. فَحَدِّثْ meaning to narrate something. So if you are narrating something about Muhammad, which is okay, but writing it down and saying it's part of Islam, it means something illogical is happening. So now, according to your hadith, if you can prove to me where Prophet Muhammad finally gave Imam Bukhari, Imam Muslim, Imam Tirmidhi and so on, where they have to present books and attribute it part of Islam for you to follow, come and present to me the arguments where Prophet Muhammad, actually, listen carefully, Prophet Muhammad gave the authority for you to follow such books. Simple. And again, we go. So now I've given you how many assignments? 4 assignments already. I can add more, but because of time, let's wait for your rebuttals in the next 10 minutes and we deal with you pleasantly. Yeah, we can stop at time. No, wait a minute. Sadiq, by the way, I'll take 1 minute from you. There was an agreement. No.
There was an agreement. You said it, but you can go ahead with it.
Okay, no problem. No problem. It's okay. Sorry.
Go.
No problem. For the sake of time, because we don't have too much time. So
Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah. You are pressing on something and it's disturbing me here. I don't know what you're pressing on. Can I move on now? You are pressing on something and it's making noise here. Hello? Hello? Sharif, can you hear me? I can't hear you now.
I said we can hear you.
Okay, so you were pressing on something.
No, the timer. That is the timer. The timer, you have to start it. Like, go, let it go.
Okay, so Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in amma ba'd. Okay, so the issue with this Quraniyun is straight rejection of the Quran. Because they will then coin, like I said, they will coin their own thing, they will coin their own schema, and anyone who doesn't believe in the schema, for example, they say, show me where the Prophet, the Quran says the Prophet is the teacher of the Quran. Meanwhile, there are a lot of alfaz in the Quran that shows that the Prophet, the Quran was sent to him, and he is the teacher of the Quran. For example, Surah Al-Nahl, Quran chapter 16, verse 64. If you have your Quran, anyone who has the Quran can open to that verse, inshallah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he said, وَمَا أَنزَلْنَا عَلَيْكَ الْكِتَابَ إِلَّا لِتُبَيِّنَ لَهُمُ الَّذِي اخْتَلَفُوا فِيهِ وَهُدًى وَرَحْمَةً لِقَوْمٍ يُؤْمِنُونَ. Wallahi, these people, they are not believers. Wallahi, these people, they are kuffar. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he said, وَمَا أَنزَلْنَا عَلَيْكَ الْكِتَابَ. And there is nothing that we have sent in the book for you, to you, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, illa, except that لِتُبَيِّنَ لَهُمْ, except that you are the one to explain it. لِتُبَيِّنَ Muhammad, you are the one to explain it.
Siddiq, there is a mistake.
Mistake where?
There is a mistake. Let me correct you. There's a mistake.
Mistake in where? Wait till I finish. Wait till I finish.
No. It's part of the agreement. It's part of the rules. If you make a mistake,
when you were going wayward and I was correcting you, you said
no,
I
you didn't correct me. No. It wasn't a correction.
Okay.
You were
the
accusing
correction?
me of something.
What is the correction? Go on. What's the correction?
Okay. Now you say you should explain it. The verse doesn't say you should explain it. Go back and check.
So you keep quiet and then you don't. You are reading English. I'm reading Arabic. So keep quiet and listen to.
No, but you made a
Arabic
mistake.
There's no mistake here. Leave it to the audience to judge. You have no.
No,
you have no background.
No.
Leave that to the audience. Leave that to the audience.
We didn't agree the audience will do that. We agreed
both
of us to do that.
Where is the mistake? Where is the mistake?
The verse you quoted, it doesn't say you should explain.
You are taking like 3 minutes from my time, so pay attention to that.
We paused the time. No, the time is paused. I didn't take anything. It's paused. I said you made a mistake. That is part of the rule. Put the rule on the screen. Let everybody see the rules.
What is the mistake? That's what I want to hear.
It doesn't say explain it.
Subhanallah.
Show the verse. Let me show the verse on the screen. And let's see where it says you should explain it.
So, Baba, leave that for those who are learned. You are not learned in Arabic. Allah is saying that wama anzalna alayka. So you are not even, this is not even a cross-examination. So just leave that, okay? So leave that to your ignorance.
The rules we set is useless. Is that what you are telling me?
Subhanallah. Okay, so the verse you quote that you said, "Thumma inna alayna bayana." When you said "Thumma inna alayna bayana," where is bayana who at the end of the verse? Where is it is how do you call it? And then it is for us to explain it.
Then that is your issue. When you came to the rebuttal, why couldn't you address that? You never addressed that.
It's not necessarily in Arabic. When something has been mentioned, a subject has been mentioned, to be
no problem.
Continue. You are ignorant of Arabic.
No problem.
Leave that to the public.
It's okay. Let me play the time.
You have quoted a verse that said,
I said,
bayana. You brought this. You said, Summa inna alayna bayana.
Siddiq, no problem. Let me play your time. Continue.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he said,
let me play the verse. Wait. Your time. Wait. Your time. I'm going to play it. Wait.
I don't worry. I've already played it. You don't need to play it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he said, وَمَا أَنزَلْنَا عَلَيْكَ الْكِتَابَ. And we did not send the al-wama here. That is what we call in Arabic that إِذَا وَقَعَتِ النَّكِرَةِ فِي الشَّرْطِ يُفِيدُ الْعُمُومِ. That is when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he said, when, how do you call it? When indefinite article is used in terms of a condition, it suffices generalization. Wama, and there is nothing that we have sent to you. Anzalna alayka al-kitab, anything that we have sent in the book for you. Illa, except that you are the one, litubayyina, it is for you to explain, lahum, for them, alladhi ikhtalafu fihi, that in which they have disputing. Wahudan, the Quran again, it is guidance. Wa rahmatan, and it is mercy, liqawmin yu'minun, for those that believe. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is the message to the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he said, Jalla sana'uhu. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he said, وَأَنزَلْنَا إِلَيْكَ الذِّكْرَ, again, Surah Al-Nahl. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he said, وَأَنزَلْنَا إِلَيْكَ الذِّكْرَ لِتُبَيِّنَ لِلنَّاسِ مَا نُزِّلَ إِلَيْهِمْ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he said, وَأَنزَلْنَا إِلَيْكَ الذِّكْرَ. And we have sent the dhikr to you. We have sent a reminder to you. لِتُبَيِّنَ لِلنَّاسِ, so that you explain to the people, مَا نُزِّلَ إِلَيْهِمْ, what has been sent to them. What was sent to mankind was the Quran. And the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Allah said he is the one to explain that. Now back to the surah, the verse you use in Surah Al-Qiyamah, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he said, that will be under cross-examination, inshallah. Where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he said, Inna alayna jama'ahu wa qur'ana. Then he said, Thumma inna alayna jama'ahu wa qur'ana, thumma inna alayna bayana. It is for us to gather the Quran to you, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the recitation, the huruf of the recitation. So Allah then mentioned the recitation, which is the Quran, that which is recited. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he said, Thumma, then. Thumma means then. Then means it is not the same thing that is going to be mentioned. The Quran was mentioned, then Allah said, Thumma inna alayna. It is for us to explain. ثم إن علينا بيانه. Then it is for us to explain, meaning that the Quran is there. That is what we all believe in. This is the Quran. And then there is an explanation to it. And therefore, Baba Shu'aib will come and tell us where he will be able to explain the verse in Surah Al-Baqarah. The verse in Surah Al-Baqarah where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he said, وَكُلُوا وَاشْرَبُوا حَتَّى يَتَبَيَّنَ لَكُمُ الْخَيْطُ الْأَبْيَضُ مِنَ الْخَيْطِ الْأَسْوَدِ مِنَ الْفَجْرِ ثُمَّ أَتِمُّوا الصِّيَامَ إِلَى اللَّيْلِ, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was telling the Muslims that eat and drink until the black thread is differentiated from the white thread. The black thread is differentiated from the white thread. What is the black thread and what is the white thread? It is the Quran, it is the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that explains to us that the white thread is the day and the black thread is the night. And when there's a distinction between that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he said, ثُمَّ أَتِمُّوا الصِّيَامَ إِلَى اللَّيْلِ, they complete your fasting to the night. Now this is the hadith. He should come and tell us where he got he will have that in the Quran, khaytul abyadu and khaytul aswadi min al-fajr, from the Quran, inshallah. Again, he continued to say that because it causes contradiction in the hadith and contradiction in the hadith. Wallahi, I say to them that this is a contradiction in your limited schema, in your outgrowing schema. When things are getting confused in your mind, you think that is reality. Again, the Quran said to us that Isa alayhi salatu wasalam, Jesus Christ alayhi salatu wasalam, was not killed. وَمَا قَتَلُوهُ وَمَا صَلَبُوهُ وَلَكِنْ شُبِّهَ لَهُم. He was not killed, he was not crucified, but it appeared to them so. So Isa alayhi salatu wasalam, by the position of the Muslims, Jesus Christ was not killed. He never died, he was never crucified. Isa alayhi salatu wasalam was risen by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to himself. The Quran again in Surah Al-Maryam, Isa alayhi salatu wasalam, he then said, Salamun alayya yawma wulidtu wa yawma amutu wa yawma ub'athu hayya. Peace be upon him, upon me, the day I was born and the day I will die and the day I will be resurrected. Anyone who doesn't have deeper knowledge in the Quran will say that there is a contradiction. Again, the ayah in the Quran where Allah said that, and we have not left anyone forever before you, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, meaning anyone who came before Muhammad sallallahu died. So this is the position of the Ahmadiyya, that Isa alayhi salatu wasallam also died. They find it to be contradictory, and therefore they find their way out. So if you are going to use the same limited schema, the same shallow mind to measure the hadith, that's what you're going to say, contradiction. And that is the same thing people like you, the Ahmadis, are doing with the Quran. Contradiction. They say, and the people like Abraham, the Moshe, and the rest, they said there's contradiction in the Quran. So it's the same measure. There is no way a hadith that is sahih, sarih in hadith will contradict a hadith that is sahih, just like the Quran never contradicts itself. Now again, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Al-Jumu'ah, he mentioned that about the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, said, huwa alladhi ba'atha fil ummiyina rasulan minhum yatlu alayhim ayatihi wa yuzakkihim wa yu'allimuhum al-kitaba wal hikma wa in kanu min qabl lafi dhalalin mubin. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he said, he is the one that raised, huwa alladhi ba'atha fil ummiyina rasulan, he is the one that raised from the people of Makkah, that's the ummiyin, rasulan minhum, from among them, yatlu alayhim ayatihi, reciting the verses of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or the ayat of Allah to them. Yatlu alayhim ayatihi wa yuzakkihim, and he purifies them. Wa yu'allimuhum al-kitaba wal hikma, and then he teaches them the kitab, which we all believe that is the Quran, wal hikma, and wisdom. Now pause here. They said the Prophet ﷺ used to teach them knowledge. Yu'allimuhum, he teaches them. Then what does he teach them? Kitab, the book, the Quran, wal hikmah, and the wisdom. Anyone at all who have studied critical thinking or has studied information studies should go and check for the meaning of knowledge and wisdom. Knowledge is the understanding of information, and wisdom is the understanding of when to place this knowledge, where and how. That is wisdom. When you know something and you know that I'm supposed to place this at this position and that in this position at this very time, that is wisdom. And that is what the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he is the guide to the Quran. He's the teacher of the Quran. And that is what he did. And the hikmah here, from the time the beginning of Islam, the hikmah here, the majority of the Muslim generation and the scholars, the real scholars, not the Google scholars, they have explained, they have translated the hikmah here to be the teachings of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to be the sunnah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So in case you needed verses that to say that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the teacher of the Quran, like I've given to you, Allah said, we have not given you a verse in the book except that you are the one to explain. Again, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he said, he has revealed the dhikr to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to make, to explain. Now, we don't wait for you or people like you who have not been anywhere. Now, you mentioned that you have studied classical Arabic. What you didn't mention is where you studied it and from whom you studied it. You have no background in the Quran, no background in how do you call it, in the Arabic language. But then you claim to be a scholar. We should leave all this, the teachings of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We should leave the teachings of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, leave the teachings of the Sahaba, and come to someone who has no basis in Arabic nor the Quran or the Hadith to come and listen to, saying that, oh, the Quran, this verse explains this verse. So inshallah, without wasting of my time is almost up. So inshallah, I'll pause it here and then we'll move to the next one.
Siddiq, a recap of the timing and the schedule and then the rules. Can you put it on the screen for people to see? A recap before we move on.
No, we have already played that. Let's move on.
No, there's a reason why I say we should put that before we go to the next point. Can you? It's a recap. It's beneficial for the audience also. So put it. Can you maximize it a bit? Let me see. Is it possible to maximize it or?
Yeah, I'm checking.
Okay, so we've already done introduction and representation. We've done 15 minutes of presentations. We've done 10 minutes of rebuttals from the presentations, which was supposed to be. And now we are moving on to the 30-minute section of the back and forth recap. That is by questioning the sources of information, right? So cross-examination at the same time. And we go one question at a time, right? But now what actually happened is, because we skipped to a point where we were not supposed to start the questioning, and it's already happened, because this is where we were supposed to do that, and then actually go back and forth with the question, and then, deliberate on the issue. But then that issue was done earlier on, which was not supposed to happen. So that is why I said, let's do a recap, because this is the most important part where we could have done the question back and forth. So now what I will do is, since we are going to do this 30-minute section, let's take it that the questions you have asked me, I'm going to answer them. Then I'll throw it back to you. Then we go the back and forth for the 30 minutes. So let me give you the timer where you can put it inside there. Let me remove this 10 minutes out.
The next 30 minutes you said is what?
That is the cross-examination, back and forth cross-examination, where we ask each other.
Yes, that's cross-examination. So why are you saying that it's your time to do what?
No, you've asked me questions. So if we are starting, I have to be the one starting to answer your questions, the ones you've asked me. Do you get
No, that's not cross-examination. Is not coming to ask you the question. You are not coming to ask me the question from what we have now.
Wait. So the questions you ask me, am I going to answer or not?
No, you can manage how to answer them. You asked me some questions. I decided to ignore what I will ignore and answer what I can during my presentation. That's how it is done. Cross-examination is cross-examination.
Yeah, but the point is, the questions I have asked you, you never answer any.
So I'm saying that in cross-examination, you can repeat them. I can repeat mine too. So there's no problem with that.
Okay. So then who starts first?
Anyone can start first.
Okay. So let me give you the timer, then you put it there, then we can go on. Wait.
Now, when the question is asked, then we put the timer. 5 minutes timer.
No, I mean, is this 5 minutes we are doing? 5 minutes for 30 minutes, right?
So this is it. A question, an open-ended question. Open-ended, I hope I explained it from the beginning. Open-ended question is when you need explanation. So that has maximum of 5 minutes. So it means if I'm to ask you 3 open-ended questions, it means that will exhaust your 50 minutes. I can decide to ask it continuously or ask them one after the other as you you answer them, and that will take you 5 minutes at most to answer them. But close-ended question, that is just yes or no.
No, I get all the point. I'm saying that if we are starting it, am I supposed to just, if I'm starting right now, am I supposed to answer your questions that you've asked, or how should we do that?
No. The questions I've asked you, I can repeat them in the cross-examination. So you can also repeat a question you've asked in the cross-examination.
Okay, no problem. So then how do we do the question? If I am asking you the question right now, then it will take you 5 minutes to answer, right?
Yes, I have at most 5 minutes. If it's an open-ended question.
Yeah, but we said one question at a time.
Yes.
Okay. So the first question for you, Siddiq, the first question for you is, if you claim your hadiths are the one explaining the Quran, right? I'm going to give you a question about breastfeeding. According to your hadith books, it says hadith allows people to breastfeed adults. And I'm going to quote the hadith reference. So this hadith in Sahih Muslim, 3,597 and 3,598. And I'm going to quote the hadith, put it on the screen, and quote it for people to see the hadith. Right?
Repeat the question again.
The question is about the hadith from Sahih Muslim. Your hadith allows the breastfeeding of adults, right? 10 adults. It says a woman can breastfeed adults, not babies, adults. So according to you, the hadith explains the Quran, and this is Sahih Muslim. Your scholars approve this. And I'm going to quote the hadith before I ask you the question. Then you have the 5 minutes to answer that question with the explanation and show me the proof. Which verse of the Quran does that particular hadith explain? Simple. So now in Sahih Muslim, 3,000.
Where is the hadith? Let me see it.
Now I'm going to quote. I'm going to put it on the screen. I can share it. I can put it on the screen.
So bring it here so that everyone will see. If you don't mind.
Sure. I'll do that. That's what I'm going to open. I'm going to put it on the screen.
Okay. I heard you are going to do that, so I'm waiting.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm going to remove this one there. Let me remove this one there first.
Yeah. Then I share the screen for people to see here. Present the screen. Here. This is in Sahih Muslim, right? I hope everybody can see the screen. Is it visible enough? Because I'm sharing it. Does it show? Yeah. So that is the hadith in Sahih Muslim. And the hadith here, which is narrated by Aisha, right? Even though it has been shortened.
So,
but in the hadith,
can you read it in Arabic?
I'm going to read because I'm asking you a question. So I have to choose where I'm going to ask you. Okay. So in the Arabic section, it says, كَانَ فِيمَا أُنزِلَ مِنَ الْقُرْآنِ. Here, كَانَ فِيمَا أُنزِلَ مِنَ الْقُرْآنِ. Saying that this particular hadith I'm putting, they said it has been revealed.
Can they start the hadith so that it will be clear for everyone? This is a day of clarity. Day for clarity.
Siddiq,
so can they...
Wait, Siddiq, wait. Let me put you right here. I'm the questioner, right? And I'm going to question you.
No, your question
have
is
to
from
wait.
Right?
You have to bring clarity to the audience, not me. You have to bring clarity.
Your question needs to be clear first.
No problem. I'm asking you the question. I can choose wherever I want to ask you the question. If I'm lying, you can tell the people I lied. Simple.
No, I don't
because
need to
of time. No, wait. Because of time,
clear.
you don't tell me how to ask you the question.
I'm not telling you how to ask me a question.
Yeah, so
I'm saying,
stop interrupting.
Read the thing clear. Read the thing clearly.
And I said, do you know what the way I'm going to question you? No.
Okay, go on.
That is the point. So the hadith has been narrated by Aisha, right? So normally when you check the Arabic version, they have there's a, for instance, Adathana Yahya. But when they put the translation, they don't put the Yahya there. So they just shorten it by going to Aisha. So when you check on the screen, you see Aisha, and Aisha comes on this side, and Aisha comes on this side. That's the last person. Anha, you see? Annaha qalat. Now it says, Kana fima unzila min al-Quran. So this particular hadith of breastfeeding, which says among the 10 things that were revealed of the Quran was that of 10 definite breastfeedings making a person a mahram. then that was abrogated and replaced with 5 definite breastfeedings. And the messenger of Allah passed away when this was among the things that were recited of the Quran. According to the Hadith, there's a verse about this breastfeeding, which is part of the Quran. So Siddiq, I want to ask you, if you believe the Quran is complete today, that means we should find this in the Quran. Unless if you want to be a kafir right now in front of your audience and tell us, how did this verse concerning breastfeeding 10 people got vanished from the Quran? Because if right now you tell us that this hadith, which clearly states here that the breastfeeding of 10 adult men was first of all revealed in the Quran, now we don't find it. So how does this hadith, particular hadith I'm quoting, explain a verse in the Quran and show us the verse? Kindly show us the verse with explanation and show me where the verse is and why we don't find the verse. And do you believe the Quran is complete? That is the question.
Okay, so you see, no, put back the text. Kindly put back the text. Mm-hmm.
You have your sources. You claim I'm a Google scholar, right? So since you have it, you bring it to the people. I showed you all the references. It's my time to ask you a question. I've asked you. I'm not supposed to help you again.
No, I'm saying put back the. Why did you remove the text?
No, is it for you? It's yours. Is it yours? I'm asking you a question.
You see, the reason why I say you should put back the text is because you are using the text based on the text. That's why you are what you're using to ask your question. And I'm saying put back that text you are using to ask the question. As simple as that. Or it is not from the text, or you are just saying something on your own. Because when you were reading the Arabic, you got to a point and then you skipped it and then you went reading English. So
But
I said put back the text.
Wait. Did you understand my question in the first place? Did you understand the question?
I didn't understand. So that's what I'm saying. I didn't understand your question.
Then simply tell me to repeat. Simple. That's logical. Ask me to repeat if you don't understand.
What is repeat and put back the question? What is the difference?
No problem. Let me put it for you. Siddiq, you want me to put it? I put it for you. I thought you have your hadith books with you. You couldn't access it.
No, you see, today I made something to give a signal. You see, I didn't sit by the library. It's just a signal for those who understand.
Okay, no problem. So I've shared it. Is there in the option? Put it on the screen.
So which hadith book is that?
Sahih Muslim.
Sahih Muslim. Okay, so if I can see clearly from here, we say,
take it.
حدثنا يحيى بن يحيى قال قرأت على مالك أن عبد الله بن أبي بكر عن عمرة عن عائشة أنها قالت كان فيما أنزل من القرآن 10 رضعات معلومات يحرمن. Now, where in this verse says that breastfeeding of older people? Where in this hadith says that breastfeeding of old people? Where is that in the Arabic text?
Finish reading the hadith and tell us what it says.
It said ثم نسخ بخمس معلومات فتوفي رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وماذا فتوفي رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وهي فيما يقرأ من القرآن. Now you said, so guys, I just want this to be clear to everyone. He said that the hadith says that feeding of grown-up men has been abrogated. I'm asking him, where in the text is it said that feeding of grown-up men? Where is it?
Where in the text that is?
Where in the text? Where in the Arabic text?
Wait. That's why I put the text on the screen. This is your books. Listen carefully. Wait, don't interrupt. This is your books translated by your own scholars. And I put it on the screen for everybody to see. Wait, don't interrupt. Let me explain. Then, if you have understood my question, listen carefully. You put it there, so it's clearly obvious to the audience that your people are translating books to deviate people.
You just lied. There's nothing like that in the Arabic. You are lying.
Check.
There's nothing like that in the Arabic.
Tell us what it means. Did you tell us what it means?
So the hadith is saying that Aisha radiallahu anha, she said, "Kana fima unzila min al-Qur'an." Let me read it from you. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Aisha is saying that كان فيما أنزل من القرآن 10 رضعات معلومات يحرمن. Said the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam during his time, Aisha is saying that there were verses that was revealed in the Quran, 10 of them about rada'atin ma'lumatin yuhramna, that it is about breastfeeding that are ma'lumatin yuhramna, breastfeeding that are known for people that, how do you call it? Yuhramna are from the people that cannot, how do you call it? Marry you or something like that. People that cannot marry you, which we call mahram. Mahram, people that cannot marry you. So where is it that they say that feeding of old men, old people? Where is it?
Did I mention old, ladies and gentlemen?
Wallahi, that's what you said. Everyone heard it.
Hey!
Feeding of grown-up men. Feeding of
yes,
grown-up
I said
people.
grown-up men.
So feeding.
Wait.
So you see,
wait, wait. The audience are listening. Did I say old men?
Old men, grown-up men. So okay, you mentioned grown-up men.
You don't know the difference between grown and old?
Subhanallah. Okay, let's take to your grown. Where is it mentioned in the hadith? Where is it mentioned grown-up men? Where is it mentioned in the hadith?
Siddiq, listen carefully to the question.
So you have lied. So now the hadith you are trying to use the question on is a lie.
Oh, Siddiq.
You have lied on the hadith.
Siddiq, listen carefully to the question.
So
wait.
Your next question.
I put the screen on the screen and I'm reading from your own text. Your scholars translate your own words.
What do you mean my scholars translation? Who translated it?
Listen.
I don't even know who translated it.
When I asked you to translate, what was the difference when you translated? What was the difference? You also mentioned about mahram. I want to ask you, Siddiq, does mahram, do you use kids as mahram? Answer the question for everybody to hear.
Kids can be mahram. Kids can be mahram.
Where? In which country?
Kids can be mahram.
No, in which country?
That is family that cannot. So for example, I'm mahram to my daughter. My daughter is mahram to my daughter cannot marry me.
Siddiq, I'm asking you a question. Do kids listen?
So my daughter, my kids can be mahram. It's as simple as that. You lie that grown-up people.
Siddiq,
it's not mentioned in the hadith.
You haven't answered the question I asked you. Listen carefully.
You're
the
lying.
Question is there.
Admit that you have lied. There's nothing like that.
I didn't lie. The verse is there. It's your scholars lying. Look at the verse. It's translated, right? It has been translated, right?
So you see why I said you should put the Arabic text and read it?
I said the Arabic text.
You people, you do.
Siddiq, please translate it for us to hear.
I've already translated it. I've already translated it.
Good. You talk about, was it when you translate, was it talking about kids or grown men when you translate?
It mentioned yuhramna, mahar. It mentioned people that we cannot marry. As simple as that.
And I said, Siddiq, what was the context? The verse is there. Read it clearly for people to hear to answer my question.
This is hadith.
Is it difficult?
This is hadith, and you have lied that the hadith has mentioned grown up. Where is grown up?
Siddiq,
you are lying. You are lying. You don't know Siddiq. Arabic. You see, that's a problem. You don't know Arabic. You are reading translation.
How many questions? When did you hear the question I asked you?
So your question even itself is a lie. So how do you expect me to answer that?
How is it a lie when the verse? Look at your scholars translating something there.
Who translated then? How is it my scholar? Who translated? How is it my scholar? Tell me, who is that? Who is the translator?
No, you don't believe in Sahih Muslim anymore.
This is Sahih Muslim. The Arabic is Sahih Muslim. The English is not Sahih Muslim. The Arabic
Siddiq,
is this is
Siddiq,
translation.
For the sake of
argument,
Siddiq, please. Now, according to the Hadith, the verse was revealed in the Quran, but it has been abrogated. Can you tell me which verse of the Quran does it explain?
Okay, so do we have verse of Rada'a in the Quran? Do we have verse of breastfeeding in the Quran?
I'm a question. I'm asking you a question. Did you hear my question when I started?
First of all, so let me answer that. In the first place, you are trying to ask about abrogation and how do you call it? Nasikh wa mansukh.
No, that's not what I'm asking. I'm asking concerning this verse. This particular thing they are saying about breastfeeding.
This is not a which verse? This is not a verse. This is a hadith.
No,
so
but
what are you talking about verse?
Siddiq, that's me. You don't understand the question I'm asking. You see the point here. Siddiq, I'm the one supposed to ask you a question, not you asking me a question.
Now start and arrange your question and take out the lie from
simple,
it. So now ask your question.
Simple.
Ask your question.
Now, this is the hadith. I started by saying in the hadith, it says, Kana fima unzila min al-Quran. Meaning, according to Nana Aisha, according to the hadith, this particular hadith, this statement she's going to make it was earlier on revealed in the Quran. Kana fima unzila min al-Quran. But what happened? What happened later on? This verse has been abrogated again out of the Quran. So this is the translation of the scholars. Then I said, if you believe the Quran is complete, how come we cannot find this hadith there? And if you believe the Quran is not complete, which means you are a kafir. That's what I said. So now the question goes like this. Since it says this particular breastfeeding issue was revealed in the Quran and later on abrogated, which means it's out of the Quran, which means, according to this hadith, if you believe this hadith is authentic, that means you are a kafir, which means the Quran is not complete, because we believe the Quran is complete right now. So now this is the explanation here. Your scholars translated by saying, Aisha said, among the 10 things that were revealed of the Quran was that 10 definite breastfeedings make a person, look at the word, a person a mahram. Then that was abrogated and replaced with 5 definite breastfeedings, and the messenger of Allah passed away when this was among the 10 things that were recited of the Quran. Do you see the point? Now here, then I ask you a question concerning this issue I'm reciting right now, that if you believe this was first of all revealed in the Quran and abrogated, can you answer that question? This is my question.
Okay, so now you leave it for me to answer, inshallah.
Good, answer.
Okay, so inshallah, first of all, so leave that to me. Let me finish speaking. I gave you the chance to finish talking. First of all, he mentioned from the beginning that the hadith is talking about breastfeeding of grown-up
Set the time, 5 minutes.
Okay, so first of all, let me bring back the hadith if I can find it. Where he was talking about grown-up men, the hadith never mentioned about grown-up men. He mentioned about people we cannot marry, and that's what the hadith is talking about. And that Nanaisha, she is saying that during the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there were verses that were abrogated, meaning removed. Indeed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he mentioned in the Quran that ما ننسخ من آية أو ننسها in Surah Al-Baqarah, ما ننسخ من آية أو ننسها نأتي بخير منها أو مثلها. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he said, ما ننسخ, and we do not abrogate. ما ننسخ من آية, we do not abrogate. You are distracting me with what you are doing on the screen. ما ننسخ من آية, we do not abrogate a verse, أو ننسها, or we cause it to be forgotten. نأتي بخير منها, we bring a better verses than that, أو مثلها, or same or something equal to that. So indeed, there is abrogation that occurred during the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And Aisha radiallahu anha, she said, and this was replaced. You've taken the hadith I was reading from that part. You've taken it off. Tribe, you've taken the hadith off. Okay, anyways, so how do you call it? There is nothing like Nanaisha mentioning the verses, the actual verses. If Nanaisha has mentioned the actual verses from the Quran, that this is there, and you go and it is not there, that is when you have a case. But if she is saying that about rada'a and feeding of, how do you call it, people you can marry, which was then wiped off, and we cannot marry we cannot marry those that are from our immediate blood, such as our children, our mothers, and our aunties, and so forth and so on. That is in Surah An-Nisa, which we can bring verses from that to talk about that. So indeed, in Surah An-Nisa, that's Quran chapter 4. Let me quickly give, let me see my time. Let me take this one there off and then check my time, and then see if I can, okay, mashallah. Okay. In Surah An-Nisa, quickly.
Siddiq, your time has restarted again.
Oh, sorry. That wasn't.
But anyway, it's no problem. You can go. I think you've already used like almost 2 minutes.
Okay, so let me. Okay, so let me place it down. Sorry, I didn't intend that. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he said, Ya ayyuha alladhina, that's Quran chapter 6, verse 19. Quran chapter 6, verse 19. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he said, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا لَا يَحِلُّ لَكُمْ أَن تَرِثُوا النِّسَاءَ كَرْهًا وَلَا تَعْضُلُوهُنَّ لِتَذْهَبُوا بِبَعْضِ مَا آتَيْتُمُوهُنَّ إِلَّا أَن يَأْتِينَ بِفَاحِشَةٍ مُبَيِّنَةٍ. This Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about the prevention of inheritance. I want to get the verses. Now, that is verse 22. وَلَا تَنْكِحُوا مَا نَكَحَ آبَاؤُكُم من النساء إلا ما قد سلف إنه كان فاحشة ومقتا وساء سبيلا حرمت عليكم أمهاتكم وبناتكم وأخواتكم وعماتكم وخالاتكم وبنات الأخ وبنات الأخت وأمهاتكم اللاتي أرضعنكم. So this verse, all that I'm reciting, which I've not even ended, Allah said, it is forbidden for you. حرمت عليكم أمهاتكم. It has been forbidden for you to marry your mothers, وَبَنَاتُكُمْ, and your children, وَأَخَوَاتُكُمْ, and then your sisters, وَعَمَّاتُكُمْ, and your aunties from your, how do you call it, your paternal side, وَخَالَاتُكُمْ, and from your maternal side, وَبَنَاتُ الْأَخْ, and your brother's children, وَبَنَاتُ الْأُخْتِ, and your sister's children, وَأُمَّهَاتُكُمُ اللَّاتِي أَرْضَعْنَكُم, and the mothers, those that breastfed you, وَأَخَوَاتُكُم مِّنَ الرَّضَاعِ, and your sisters, that is your foster sisters, وَأُمَّهَاتُ نِسَائِكُم, and your mother-in-laws. So this all that I'm narrating is talking about mahram, people you cannot marry. And this hadith of the Aisha radiallahu anhu can be referring to this because the Aisha did not specify. So when it comes to breastfeeding of mahram, breastfeeding of people that you can marry, and you, how do you call it? Those that you can marry, this verse indeed talk about, how do you call it? The issue of the hadith, if that is what you mean. But in the issue of breastfeeding grown-up people, we did not find that in the text of Imam Muslim. In terms of breastfeeding, in terms of breastfeeding, those that you can marry or you cannot marry, then Nanaisha is saying that at a point in time, during the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there were verses that are actually permitting that, and they were abrogated. I think I used some minutes of my time already, and therefore I'll spare this time here. And I hope I have answered the question.
Siddiq, can you the timer, you take it away, right? And then you put
what do you want me to do? Should I put the hadith back?
That particular hadith. No, the one you said you've answered. Let's go back. Put the hadith again on the screen.
Okay, so that's your first question anyway. You have exhausted one question. If you have another question, then we move on.
No, because we said there will be cross-examination, right?
Yeah. Meaning, so and because one question at a time. So and you've answered, you've asked one.
So what? Okay. Now what happens now? Am I supposed to say something regarding your answer or what?
Okay, we didn't discuss about that, but if you want to say something, we can say 2 minutes will be okay for that.
Okay, so you can put the 2 minutes there. Then we do that. That 2 minutes, this thing you can say. And you share for me the hadith on the, oh, sorry. Right. No, you put the 5 minutes instead. The 2 minutes should be somewhere there. I think it's it should be there. Can you first of all share me the hadith? I want people to see something from the hadith. Do you see it in the corner there?
I've placed it here, but okay.
If you see the minute, you see the minute is the one which is written 157. That's for the 2 minutes one. And then
the hadith, I think when I was asking you to post it for me, you were struggling with it. So why don't you go ahead, inshallah, with the 2 minutes?
Oh no. Then I'm the one sharing it, but you are the moderator. So if I share something, it will not come on the screen till you allow it.
Okay, so you said you've shared the 2 minutes.
No, I mean I've shared the hadith. The hadith I wanted to put on the screen. I've shared it, but you have to approve it before it comes to the screen.
Okay. This one?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So now this is the hadith has an extension from the 3,597. It comes out to 3,600. You see it. So ladies and gentlemen, on the screen you see it clearly here. Put there that it says the prophet said, breastfeed him. She said, how can I breastfeed him? He is a grown man. Now, in the context of their hadith books, if you take the hadith chain of narration, they put it into sequence.
Okay,
and
Baba,
it
Baba,
gives you
for the sake of honesty,
What?
is it the first hadith you presented or is the second hadith?
Now, in the same lane. Is in the
No,
same lane.
not same lane, not same lane. I'm not talking about same lane. The hadith
No.
you were talking, hadith in Nana Aisha, where we read up to, and you were saying that is where the grown-up man. I'm saying
that hadith, no, wait. The one I quoted is 3,597. Listen.
So let's stick to that. Don't move to a next hadith. Let's stick to that. When if you are asking this hadith question on this hadith, then it will be a different question then.
No, I'm not asking you a question. No. I'm not asking you.
Okay, so use the first one, and that is what I made my comment on. So go back to that one, and if this we will discuss this one later. So because people will understand this to be the first one.
Siddiq, okay? The first one I quoted, it mentioned a person in the translation.
Okay. So what I'm saying, wait. Then this will be a different thing. I thought you were going to make comment. I thought you were going to make comment on the. You see, this would deceive people to think that how do you call it? This is the hadith you were using before.
No, Siddiq, that hadith. You don't get my point. You have made an explanation going to a verse which doesn't talk about anything concerning the hadith.
Yeah, Rajul, just go back to the hadith you were using. This we will talk about this one later. We are focusing on one thing at a time.
Listen to me.
At a time.
The answer you were giving me has nothing to do with the hadith I gave you.
See, go back to that hadith then and talk about that. Don't move to a next hadith. We'll talk about everything.
No, okay, so what was the 2 minutes for?
I thought you said you were going to say something about what we are discussing about that. The hadith.
Yes, it's the same issue. It doesn't change.
No,
it's not
issue. The hadith, not issue. The hadith on which you asked the question. So go back one thing at a time,
Siddiq,
please.
You know what?
One thing at a time.
The audience are clear now. They understood it's talking about
exactly.
They can see it.
Exactly.
But now it's your turn to ask me the question. So let's go with your question.
Okay. So the first question is: we believe that the Quran. We believe that the Quran was transmitted to us the same way the hadith was transmitted to us, and through the hadith, through the the transmission of this both revelations, we got to understand the deen. Okay, it was transmitted from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to the Sahaba, to the Tabi'un, and then to us. It got to you people, and then you, someone like you, and then you choose. So I'm asking, how you can tell whether this one is a Quran or not. So I'm going to present to you a Quranic verse, and you have to tell us how we can tell whether this one is the right Quran or that one is. If both happen, or the three of them happen to be the Quran, you are going to tell us how you came to realize that they are all Quran, and if they are not, you tell us why. So the first I'm presenting to you is from Surah Al-Zukhruf, verse 18. Now, anyone who has a Quran, please, you can go and check. And what I'm going to present would differ from what you are holding at home right now. So, inshallah, if you have a Quran, please go and check Surah Al-Zukhruf, verse 18, according to me, what I'm going to present. So this delaying by it's loading. Please, can you see it? Is a file showing?
No, it's not there. If it comes, it will appear down there. So then it will come on the screen.
Okay. Okay, so there's it. Please, if you have Quran at home, anyone who has Quran, Arabic Quran at home, you can open this, how do you call it? This verse that I've just placed here. The verse says that وَجَعَلُوا الْمَلَائِكَةَ الَّذِينَ هُمْ عِنْدَ الرَّحْمَنِ إِنَاثًا. We can all see the verse. And this is verse 18. I bet you if you are holding the Quran at home, this is not the verse we are going to see in verse 18. You are going to see it in verse 19 of the Quran you are holding. So this verse, وَجَعَلُوا الْمَلَائِكَةَ الَّذِينَ هُمْ عِنْدَ الرَّحْمَنِ, this عِنْدَ الرَّحْمَنِ, in a different Quran, it is not عِنْدَ الرَّحْمَنِ. The Quran you are holding right now at home is عِبَادُ الرَّحْمَنِ. عِبَادُ الرَّحْمَنِ. وَجَعَلُوا الْمَلَائِكَةَ الَّذِينَ هُمْ عِبَادُ الرَّحْمَنِ. Which inshallah, if anyone doubts, I will share that one too. The Ibadur Rahman, inshallah. If we go on with the question, then there's the presentation. So there are two different recitation here. Baba Shuaib, we are asking you that are both Quran that was revealed to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or one is correct and one is not? If one is correct and one is not, how do we know? And if they are both correct, how do we know? We as Muslims, we say that we know that from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam's hadith. The hadith in which the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he told us that the Quran was revealed to him in 7 ahruf, 7 ways of recitation. So we are asking you how you can tell us the truthfulness of this.
Yeah. So now, can you put my timer? Is it 5 minutes?
Sure, I'm coming.
Okay.
Which one is the 5 minutes?
You see the green one?
The green. Okay.
Yeah. Has it started? Now you have to take it back.
Let me repeat it back.
Yeah.
Don't worry. I'm repeating it back. So before you move on, you had my question. Are both correct recitation? If they are both, how do we know? If they are, one is correct and one is not, how do we know?
Okay, no problem. That's just your question, right? Okay, no problem. Can you start the time?
Sure.
Okay, so Siddiq is asking me a question by putting a verse on the screen, and what I can tell you that he put on the screen was the warsh version, and then there's the half version. According to their belief that the Prophet was giving multiple different versions of the revelations, that is the Quran, which is not the case. So before I answer the question, I take you to the Quran for you to see that he has only been given one revelation and not two. So when you go to Quran chapter 2, verse 121, God is clearly telling us concerning the Quran, the book, that it was only one version of recitation and not two. So when you take Quran chapter 2, verse 121, it says, Allazina ataynahum al-kitaba yatlunahu haqqa tilawatihi, ulaika yuminuna bihi, waman yakfur bihi, then God says, فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْخَاسِرُونَ. So God is saying that those to whom we have given the book, which they recite it through recitation, haqqa tilawatihi, one recitation, not two, one recitation of it, not two, those will believe in it, and whoever disbelieves in it, then they are those who are the losers. So again, we go. I take you to Quran chapter 10, verse 15. To tell you that there's only one version of the Quran, and I'll give you the answer at the end, right? So when you go to Quran chapter 10, verse 15, God says, وَإِذَا تُتُلَ عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتُنَا بَيِّنَاتٍ. Then he says, قَالَ الَّذِينَ لَا يَرْجُونَ لِقَاءَنَا آتِي بِقُرْآنِ غَيْرِ هَذَا أَوْ بَدِّلْهُ. Then he says, قُلْ مَا يَكُونُ لِي أَنْ أُبَدِّلَهُ مِنْ تِلْكَاءِ النَّفْسِ إِنْ أَتَّبِعُ إِلَّا مَا يُوحَى إِلَيَّ إِنِّي أَخَافُ إِنْ أَسَيْتُ رَبِّي عَذَابَ يَوْمٍ عَظِيمٍ. So he says, and when our verses are recited to them as proofs, those who do not hope to meet us say, bring a reading, a Quran other than this, Haza, one Quran, not two, not three versions, not four, or change it. This is what the disbelievers do at this time. They want him to change it. So the Quran is clearly telling us, the messenger says, it is not for me to change it by myself spontaneously. I only follow what is inspired to me. Indeed, I fear the punishment of a terrible day if I should disobey my Lord. So according to the Quran, Prophet Muhammad was only given one version of the Quran. There's no 2 version, 3 version, 4 version, 5 version. But how did we come by with the halves and warsh? Just like Brother Siddiq put it on the screen. He's putting the warsh version, and he's telling us when we check our side, we will see a different version of it. The verse we are checking, they have halves and warsh version. However, remember Quran chapter 4 verse 82, God says, أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنَ وَلَوْ كَانَ مِنْ عِنْدِ غَيْرِ اللَّهِ لَوَجِدُوا فِيهِ اخْتِلَافًا كَثِيرًا. So God says, do they not contemplate the Quran? Had it been from other than God, they will have found therein numerous discrepancies, or we can say contradictions therein of the Quran. I have done my thorough investigation. Now, when you take the halves version, for instance, the halves version is the most popular in the world right now, that people even in Saudi Arabia are using, most of the parts of the world are using. Now, when I made my comparisons with the warsh version, if you go to the warsh version, this verse Siddiq is putting is trying to denote that that's a warsh version. And the Prophet Muhammad at his time, he wasn't given a Quran called halves or warsh. But the people try to bring this dissonance to confuse people. Now, when you take the Quran, for instance, the halves version, in Surah Al-Fatiha, it says, Maliki Yawmiddin, right? That is the possessor of the day of judgment, or we can say the owner of the day of judgment. When you take the warsh version, we have Maliki Yawmiddin, which means the king of the day of judgment. Now, the reason why it's not befitting to say God is only the king of the day of judgment, God is always the king. Just like Surah An-Nas, it says Malikin Nas, Ilahin Nas. So God is always the king. But when you limit God's kingdom to one day and says Maliki Yawmiddin, it doesn't befit the Quran well. Remember, Quran chapter 4 verse 82 says, وَلَوْ كَانَ مِنْ عِنْدِ غَيْرِ اللَّهِ لَوَجِدُوا فِيهِ اخْتِلَافًا كَثِيرًا. You will find numerous discrepancies or contradictions. So the best version to use this modern day is the house version. Why? Because it says Maliki Yawmiddin, denoting the possessor of the day of judgment. Only God possesses that day. No other entity, no other deity people are formed, but only one God possesses that. So that alone, with a lot of instances that I have, but if time will permit, we can reschedule another topic just for this, and we can go in between one by one, and I can show Siddiq that my thorough investigation of both the halves and warsh version, halves version is more dominant over the warsh version, and I have a lot of evidences to back it up. We can do a debate on that also fully, inshallah, if time permits us to do so, inshallah.
So which one is it? The 2 minutes?
I didn't get to use my 2 minutes.
No, I gave it. I gave it to you. Because if you see me, what I'm going to say, if
I didn't use any 2 minutes.
No, I gave you the permission, but you were going offline. So if what I'm going to say, I go offline, then you can.
No. I didn't use the 2 minutes. I didn't use any 2 minutes. There has never been an instance.
Didn't you? That doesn't mean I didn't give you. So if,
No. You didn't give me any 2 minutes. I didn't say, okay, I wait. I didn't say I give up that 2 minutes. Never did I use that word. We never use any 2 minutes here.
Don't worry. So, do you have a, how do you call it?
Now it's my turn to ask you a question now.
Okay. So you can ask me a question. Now, please pay attention. If you ask me a question, I'll use some minutes to answer, to expose the, how do you call the fallacies in what he just said. Okay, so that should be noted so that people will not have maybe moved out from the question. So that should be noted. You can ask a question.
Yeah. So if I ask you my question, that is when you have the 5 minutes to answer, right? Because the first round has been done. I think this is the second round, and then we go to the third round, and I think then the audience can now ask us the question, right? Yeah. So that's with the agreement on this thing, right? Okay. So my second question is as this. Now, according to your hadith, let me go this one. According to your hadith, that is, I'll give you the hadith, then you can put it on the screen, right? It is 3 hadiths talking about stoning to death, right? Stoning to death. Now, this stoning to death, one can be found in Sahih al-Bukhari 2695 concerning giving lashes to somebody who commits zina and then ban them for 1 year, right? Then another one in Sahih al-Bukhari 6,829, which talk about stoning to death. Then Sahih al-Bukhari, 6,825, which talk about stoning to death for somebody who has committed, sexual indecency. So, for instance, one of the hadiths where it's narrated by Abu Huraira, out of these three I quoted, one of the hadiths quoted by Abu Huraira, Umar said, I'm afraid that after a long time has passed, people may say we do not find the verses of what? Rajam, that is stoning to death, in the Quran. And consequently, they may go astray by leaving an obligation that Allah has revealed. Lo, I am conferred that the penalty of Rajam, what? No, wait. Siddiq, the time shouldn't be for me. It's for you when you're answering the question.
Sorry.
Uh-huh.
Move on.
You can pause it. Okay, you pause it. Okay. Yes. Yeah. So then the hadith says that lo, I confirm. No, he says Umar is saying that, and consequently they may go astray by leaving an obligation that God has revealed. So according to this hadith, God has actually revealed a verse for stoning people. So Umar is claiming there is a verse in the book of God which is about stoning to death, to stone somebody. But we don't find such a verse in the Quran till date. So what happens? Lo, I confirm that the penalty of Rajam be inflicted on him who commits illegal sexual intercourse, if he is already married and the crime is proved by witnesses or pregnancy or confession. So Sufyan added, I have memorized this narration in this way. Umar added, surely Allah's messenger carried out the penalty of Rajam, and so did we after him. So this is the allegation in the Hadith book, right? So now, I want to ask Siddiq that if somebody actually commits adultery whilst being married and commits adultery, according to your Hadith books, the person has to be stoned to death. So now, according to Quran chapter 4, verse 25, if you have somebody who is a mamalakat aymani, who has been possessed, whom your right hand possess, which the sectarians will normally translate as slave, that is not a slave. According to what we know from the Quran, it doesn't say slave there. But the sectarians will say a slave. Okay, so this is the question. If this person, God is talking about this lady, this young lady that your right hands possess among your young women, believing women, if she commits any unfaithful act, meaning she does any, immoral act, according to God, that the punishment is half of a believing woman. So now I want to ask, if she's married and she commits the zina, and then you are going to punish her the stoning to death, how is the half punishment going to be done? And your hadith is claiming it is in the book of God. Why can't we find such a verse for that punishment? That is my question.
Okay, so you see what I did was when I was going to ask you the question, I posted what I want to ask the question on, and then I asked for it to be clear to everyone. So inshallah, post the hadith, and then inshallah for everyone to see. Did you hear me? Can you hear me? I can't hear you. So check your mic. I can't hear you.
I said I quoted 3 sources for you, right? From the hadith where you find such notions.
So put the one that Umar said. Sayyidina Umar said it's in the Quran. So put that one. In,
yeah, okay, let me put it. Out. Yeah, I put it for you. Wait a second. I just put it for you. Let me share that one for you as soon as possible. Yeah, Sahih al-Bukhari 2000. Yeah. Just a second here. 2000. Sahih al-Bukhari. Yeah. 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 So can you share the screen now? Wait, I'm putting it, then you share the screen.
No, I can't. It's not here.
Yeah, let me put it here. Then you share the screen. Wait. It's down here. Wait. Have you shared it? Can you see it?
Okay, so based on that, you ask your question so that it will be clear for everyone, just like I did mine.
Yeah. Do you see the hadith?
Yeah, I put it on the screen. So read the hadith for everyone to hear. Based on that, you ask your question.
No, I've already asked you the question. So you tell me if it's not there or not.
No, I'm saying that. So read what. This is the question. So read it for people to hear. Base your question
And I
on
said,
that.
I
So
just told you. No, wait. I just asked you a question. Wait. I just asked you a question. And I just read it.
Question is
No,
based
wait,
on the hadith, right?
wait, Siddiq.
I'm waiting, but I'm asking you, is your question based on the hadith?
Yes, it's based on the hadith.
So read the hadith for everyone to hear.
Yeah, I just read it. When I was reading, you didn't hear?
You didn't read this very one, the text, the Arabic text from the source you are quoting. So read it for everyone to hear. You didn't read this one.
Siddiq,
So read it
I'm
from the
asking
text.
you a question. No, wait. I'm asking you a question. I can read it for you. But I'm asking the question, first of all, if it's not there, tell me it's not there. Now, that's number one.
The question is based on the hadith. So read the hadith and base your question on it. Simple as that.
Okay. No problem. This is the hadith on the screen, ladies and gentlemen. So he says, Haddathana Aliyun ibn Abdullah, Haddathana Sufyan. You see, when you are reading this, the hadith from the Arabic version, when they translate in English version, they don't put all these names I kept reading, right? From the Arabic version, they don't put it there, right? And in Zuhri, now you don't see the Zuhri, you don't see Sufyan, you don't see Ali in the English version. This is their scholars translating here. Then an Ubaidillah. So from Zuhri coming from Ubaidillah, then he says an Ibn Abbas. Then he goes to the from the son of Ibn Abbas. Then he says radiyallahu anhuma, both of them. Qala Umar. Then now Umar says. So you said narrated Ibn Abbas. Then he goes. Then he says Umar said. Then it goes. Lakad. Here, this is the hadith. Lakad hashitu an yatula bin nas. Zamanun hatta yakula qa'il. Then he says, La najidu rajma fi kitabillah. That we don't see the rajm, the stoning, in the book of God. Fayadillu bitarki faridatin anzalaha Allah. So here the hadith is saying that La najidu rajma fi kitabillah. We don't see the rajma in the book of law. Fayadillu bitarki faridatin anzalaha la. Meaning now they don't see what yadillu, they go astray and leave it behind, that since God hasn't revealed that as in the book, the people will abandon that, just as the translation is saying. Now, when you take this part, I'm asking Siddiq, according to their hadith, it says clearly that Umar was saying that there has been revealed the verse of stoning in the book of God. But some people will come and go astray from it, saying that we do not find it in the book of God. So I read the translation here, where it says here, Umar said, I am afraid that after a long time has passed, people may say, we do not find in the verses of the what? The verses of the Rajam in the book of God. This is Allah's book. And consequently, they may go astray by leaving an obligation that Allah has revealed. So now, according to you, Siddiq, if there is that verse of stoning in the Quran that Umar is claiming, this is your Sahih Bukhari hadith. And now I just ask you a question. According to Quran chapter 4, verse 25, if this woman who is possessed by Malakat Ayman, and then this lady commits adultery, God says she should get half of the punishment. This half of the punishment, if it is by rajm, stoning to death, then how can this lady be punished half according to your hadith? And tell me which verse of the Quran this hadith explains. Thank you.
Okay, so guys, as you can see, the hadith, which I'm going to read from the Arabic, I intentionally do this for this brother in humanity to be clearly exposed of the things he says, that he has no clue, even in the Arabic language, no clue. He has no clue. You see, he continuously go back to what has been translated. I don't know who made that translation.
Sadiq,
Anyways,
can
now,
you go to the point?
I didn't interrupt you when you were talking.
Go to the point. We said no personal attack.
Just leave that. Leave that. When you were doing personal attack, was I talking? Why is it difficult
where
for
did
you
I do
to
personal attack? When?
So just leave it. Leave it for me. That's my time. So leave it.
But I don't have time. You remember, I'm a human being, right? I have a family. So go straight to the point.
So let me quickly put on back the hadith to expose the ignorance once again. Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu did never said there's this verse in the Quran. He said, and I'm reading from the Arabic, خشيت أن يطول بالناس زمان حتى يقول قائل لا نجد الرجم في كتاب الله. He said that I'm scared for a generation to come that someone, they'll be roaming around saying that rajm that you are doing meaning stoning to death. We never found that in the Quran. Rajm means stoning. That we never found that in the Quran, and therefore, since we never find that, therefore that should be rejected. And this is in the accordance of another hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that a time will come when some people will claim that ma wajadtum fil Qur'ani halalan fahilluhu wa ma wajadtum harama faharrimuhu. Anything you find, a time will come when people will say that stick to the Quran alone. Whatever you find in the Quran as haram, make it haram. Whatever you find as halal, make it halal. This is what the hadith, and the hadith says that some people will come. So this hadith is an evidence against you and not for you. The hadith is saying that this is the time that will come, that people will say that because we did not find this in the Quran, we did not find Zuhur, Asr, Maghrib, Isha in the Quran, therefore don't do it. We did not find Rajmi in the Quran, and therefore don't do it. And this is what the hadith is saying. Sayyidina Umar, you were a liar by saying that Sayyidina Umar said this is in the Quran. He said that people will say that this is not in the Quran, and therefore we did not find this in the Quran, therefore don't do it. So this is another expose for you. This hadith is for you and never for you. So this again, we have stated the topic of the day is that the hadith explains the Quran. When a Quranic verse comes with a narrative, when a Quranic verse comes with a narrative that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, does he have another revelation, which is a wahy? Two wahy that was given to him. One is the Quran, and another one is what technically is termed as sunnah or hadith, which explains the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he made the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam a judge. He said, فَلَا وَرَبِّكَ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ حَتَّى يُحَكِّمُوكَ فِيمَا شَجَرَ بَيْنَهُمْ. Indeed, they can never say they are believers until they make you a judge in their affairs. And therefore, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is a judge in the affairs of the people. So this hadith again is for you, that you people will say that what is in the Quran is only what we are going to implement, and therefore we should ignore the other ones. So this is for you. Again, my time is not up, and let me show the time clearly for everyone to see. My time is not up, so I'll go on and then debunk what he said earlier when he was answering the issue of the hadith. When he was answering the issue of the hadith, you clearly hear the issue of warsh and hafs, the Quran, about the Quran. You clearly hear him saying that the version is the correct one. Wallahi, Shu'aib, give us warsh version, the way the Quran says warsh version. Where do you see he keep on attacking that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam says that they never said that write Bukhari, write Muslim, write this. In Bukhari and Muslim, they give narration the same way, and that's what we want to tell him. The same way warsh also took the Quran from someone and from someone onto the Prophet. I've already answered him. It took the Quran from someone to, and that's why we call it riwayah to hafs. And he mentioned that you cannot find the word riwayah to warsh in the Quran. There is no what we call hafs version or warsh version. There's no hafs version in the Quran. He can bring it, he can quote it and say that, okay, so this is hafs. Hafs. The Quran says hafs, riwayah to hafs is the correct one. So someone was asking in the comment section, and I would like to repeat that. How did you know? So all the people, and he said that this is what is recited all over the world. And then he mentioned only Saudi Arabia. This is another lie, that in Morocco, in Nigeria, in Mauritania, in most of the, especially African countries, what is recited is the warsh version, the one that he said, and that is not correct. So that is another lie. Where did you get from you making your investment saying that, so the halves? Okay, so it means that we can have someone, a revelation can be attributed to someone. You saying that halves version. Okay, so why do you then attack Imam al-Bukhari for them narrating a revelation of hadith for us? Why do you then attack them? So you see, he has fallen back. We have given him his pill back to take by saying that Hafs version. And again, how did you know that? How do you call it? How did you know that the Hafs version is the correct one? It is not Ibadur Rahman. Ibadur Rahman is in the Quran. But you said that is wrong. And Ibadur Rahman is in the Quran. In the Rahman too is in the Quran. Inna Dina Inda Allah is in the Quran. So you serve that off. Inshallah.
Your time is up. Now,
so my next, no, you don't have anything to say. Just like you stopped me and I stopped. You don't have anything to say.
No, I want to say something concerning.
You don't have anything to say. No, you don't say anything. We are continuing.
No, we are not dealing with time. Sadiq.
No. You are not going to say anything. We are continuing as we begin. When I was going to talk, you said I don't have any time.
Sadiq,
no, you don't say anything. You don't give any comment. You are not going to give any comment.
Let's be civil. There's no time on the screen.
You stopped me. You stopped me when I was going to make comments. And I managed to put that in my 5 minutes. So
Sadiq, your time is ended.
It's my time to ask you a question. So please don't interrupt.
Your time is ended. Wait, let me make a comment.
It's my time to ask you a question. You don't have anything to say. It's my time to ask you a question.
Do you know what I want to say?
So I was about to say something. You stopped me, right? So I'm not giving you that time. I'm going to ask you a question. So I'm going to ask you my question. It's my time. It's my time to ask you a question. It's my time to ask you a question. Simple.
Ask me a question.
So like I mentioned, bring us the explanation in the Quran where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned that, how do you call it? وَكُلُوا وَاشْرَبُوا حَتَّى يَتَبَيَّنَ لَكُمُ الْخَيْطُ الْأَبْيَضُ مِنَ الْخَيْطِ الْأَسْوَدِ مِنَ الْفَجْرِ. Where Allah mentioned خَيْطُ الْأَبْيَض and خَيْطُ الْأَسْوَدِ, and Allah said مِنَ الْفَجْرِ. Bring us that definition. It's in Quran chapter 2 verse 187. It starts with أُحِلَّ لَكُمْ لَيْلَةَ الصِّيَامِ الرَّفَثُ إِلَى نِسَائِكُمْ. So bring us the definition, the explanation of خَيْطُ الْأَبْيَضُ مِنَ الْخَيْطِ الْأَسْوَدِ مِنَ الْفَجْرِ. We want you to bring that explanation from the Quran. And if you deviate, when you say I'm deviating, you stop. So if you deviate, I'll pause you.
Can you share my screen?
Which one? I can't see that.
I'm presenting something here. Wait. Right.
Somebody say this one is fighting for Allah. This is fighting for... No, he's fighting for halves. If you don't know, he's fighting for halves.
Can you stop the excessive comments and let's move on with the debate? I don't have all the time in the world.
I'm waiting for you. I don't know what I'm waiting for. What did you present?
Yes, you have to put it on the screen. Yeah. So when does my time start?
Okay, when I start the time, this will go off. You know that, right?
Let me see. Wait. Let me see this. Okay, then no need. That means no need to put this thing on the screen, right? Okay, you can take my verse on the screen. Then you put the timer so that people can know we are being just with the time.
So since you have this, I'm going to put the time. I'm going to put the timer.
I put the timer on it. Then I can. Yeah, so Siddiq went to the verse, chapter 2, verse 187, and he quoted the verse, and he said I should explain concerning the black thread and the white thread. Now, according to them, they have their hadith books, which tells them that the Sahabas were so naive that they don't know the difference between a black thread and a white thread of dawn. Remember, the Quran is talking to people who possess intelligence, ulil albab, those who have intelligence, not to fools, but intelligent people. So when you take the verse, it's talking about the lawful for you is the night of abstinence to last after your wives. They are a covering for you and you are a covering for them. God knows that you had been cheating yourselves. So he has forgiven you and has pardoned you. So cooperate with them now and seek what God has decreed for you. So now this is the interesting part. Then what God says, وَكُلُوا وَاشْرَبُوا حَتَّى يَتَبَيَّنَ لَكُمُ الْخَيْطُ الْأَبْيَضُ مِنَ الْخَيْطِ الْأَسْوَدِ مِنَ الْوَدِ فَجْرٍ ثُمَّ أَتِمُّوا الصِّيَامَ إِلَى اللَّيْلِ. So this is the context here. When you take the context of the verse, it started talking about layl in the beginning. أُهِلَّ لَكُمْ لَيْلَةَ الصِّيَامِ, in the night. So how do we distinguish the thread of the white thread from the black thread? And remember, God says of fajr, and we all know what fajr is. So God says, and eat and drink, kulu washrabu, eat and drink, and until the whitish. When we say abiyadu, it's used in a superlative form, meaning the act of the sigatul tafdil gives you the notion of a whitish, the whitish thread. Now, it is not talking about thread as in rope. Remember, Quran is talking to intelligent people. So when we say the whitish thread becomes clear to you from the blackish thread, that is al-aswadi thread of what? Of fajr. So it is not talking about the thread you use to sew your clothes. If you get up in the early before dawn, you look at the sky, you see the night clouds are differentiating itself from the clouds of the dawn. When it is dawn time, you see the sky, the threads in the sky getting vanished. So that's how you distinguish between the threads of the fajr. Listen carefully. For those who possess intelligence, God says min al fajr, of the fajr. So the fajr has a white thread and it has a black thread, comparing night and daytime, right? So night
it is permitted to pause one when he has deviated from the question. The question is, bring us black thread, white thread from other verses of the Quran, explaining khaytul abyad and khaytul black thread and white thread from the Quran. It's not you using your mind, your right to define it.
Wait. Where's the mind? I'm just reading the verse, what it says. What do you mean I should bring what? What thread and thread where? Siddiq, what are you doing?
Use the other verses of the Quran to explain black thread and white thread. That's my question.
You don't have the right to even interrupt me. You didn't ever give me the chance to interrupt.
Who kept interrupting? Anyway, move on.
You don't have the right. Yes. So God is talking to people with intelligence, as I said. Eat and drink until the whitish thread, with a whitish thread becomes clear to you from the blackish thread of what? Fajr. God is talking to wise people. When you see the Fajr time, when he's getting to the daybreak, you will see the night clouds vanishing. It makes like a thread in the sky. So for every intelligent person listening to me, you can search it for yourself. That does the clouds in the sky, the night clouds and the white cloud, do they have threads in the sky? They do have the lines, which you'll be able to distinguish. And then you know it is time for Fajr, or is it still Layl? You will know, every wise person. Then God says, then conclude the Siyam at Layl, because you know Layl is darkness. Just as it says in Surah Al-Layl, وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا يَغْشَى, because it covers and you see darkness. So Layl gives you darkness. And what is Fajr? Fajr is daybreak, right? So daybreak, Fajr, you all know the difference between what is daybreak and then what is night. So God is talking to intelligent people who are believers. And that is why in the bottom of the verse, it says God does clarify his verses to the people. Perhaps they will become pious. So it is God clarifying the verses, but Siddiq here wants me to go out of the verses of God, go to somebody who is not God to actually explain the words of God. For me, I'm intelligent. I can understand what God means here. So I don't need any external source to confuse my brain. So then again, what Siddiq fails to realize is he goes off topic. When it's time for answering questions, he doesn't deal with the questions. He will go off topic.
Okay, you are doing personal attack. I thought you said that is not allowed.
I have my time. Please, my time is up. You never gave me the chance to talk. You go off topic, talking about things which has nothing to do with the topic of discussion. This video will be there for everybody to see. They will see who is logical and who is nonsensical. The evidence is there clearly. We are doing a debate where you have to give each person the chance to state their points. But logic tells you that somebody is lacking logic to actually give the room for a person to express himself. Because this is not a fight. We are here to spew wisdom and knowledge to the people, not a fight. So now it's time for the audience.
Okay, you are speaking. So I mean, I can. So you had the time to answer something else. You talk about something else aside the question. Okay, so I'll have the time to do the same. So it's your time to ask the question. I'm listening.
No. Which round are we now?
Okay, so you're on the third one.
Now, how many rounds did we go already? We got 2 rounds, right?
Yeah, so you're on the third one.
Okay, so this is the last round, right? Okay, so the last round is Siddiq. Concerning the 5 salat. concerning the 5 salat you people have, according to the hadith, because this hadith is very long. Yeah, it's very long, so I'm not going to the Arabic side. But if you think anything I said I'm lying, then you prove me wrong.
No,
now I'm
you have
going
to
to
post.
the
You
English
have to
side.
post. You have to
What?
post. If you are going to hadith, you have to post. So
No,
that's the thing.
I'll put the hadith on the screen, but it's not mandatory. Listen, we don't have any rules which is written in our agreement that mandatory I have to read your hadith books in Arabic.
The hadith is what you're asking question with, and you lie
No,
on
no,
the
wait,
hadith. I've exposed you twice.
Wait. Do we have such an agreement?
It's not an agreement because you're asking a question with. If I'm asking the question with the Quran,
no,
I present the Quran.
Listen.
Okay, so you have failed to present the hadith and read it. You applied twice.
Wait.
And I've
it's my
exposed you on
time
that.
to ask the question. Let me ask my question. You don't show me how to ask your question, right?
Okay, so ask a question that is out of any book then.
It's a question. It's not as if I'm answering. If I'm answering you, then you can show me the criteria in which I have to answer you.
No. People are watching. Put the hadith so that if you are lying, they will know.
Me, for God's sake. You
okay,
didn't
I'm
give
not
me
interrupting you, but put the hadith.
Can you shut your beak and let me talk? Please.
Okay, I permit you to, but put the hadith.
The rule says no interruption. Please respect yourself. Let me talk.
You respect yourself. Just post the thing and stop being childish.
You have to share it if I post it.
So post it and read. Don't try to attack
but you don't
anyone
tell
here.
me how to read what I have to read.
Don't get yourself away. Post the hadith. I'm posting. You read it. You are asking the question on that.
Hey.
You are asking the question. So post. I'll post it and
yes,
you read it.
I'm going to post your hadith, the comedy here, and we're going to see the comedy clearly.
Simple as that.
This is it. This is his hadith book. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to see the best mathematician ever in history. According to their hadith, this is Sahih al-Bukhari.
I've not seen it. We have not seen it. Where is it?
You have to put it on the screen. I'm a questioner, so you have to put it on the screen. Widen it. Let my people see it clearly. Yes, like this. So, Book of Salat. Ladies and gentlemen, you are going to enjoy this show. Okay? So here, this Book of Salat, you can see here, they say the Book of Salat, right? The prayer. Now, this is Hadith Sahih al-Bukhari 349, narrated by Abu Dhar. He said, Allah's messenger said, whilst I was at Makkah.
No. Please read the text itself. Read the text itself, not translation. Read the text itself.
Siddiq, listen to me carefully. I'm a questioner. You don't tell me how to question you.
No. You are dealing with the hadith. What you are reading is not hadith.
Show me in the rules where we said somebody.
Is it not hadith you are reading?
I said, Siddiq, listen to logic here. Show me.
There's no logic in what you are doing.
Rules. Show me in the rules where it says I must read your hadith book in Arabic. Tell me.
The hadith is Arabic. I
said show me in the rules.
We didn't also say that we are going to read translation. So just if you are quoting hadith.
I'm a questioner. Are you going to teach me how to question you?
Is the translation hadith? Is the translation a hadith?
Siddiq, are you going to teach me how to question you?
You are questioning me on the hadith and you are not saying the hadith. I'm not.
Can you shut your beak? Let me talk. Let me finish my question.
Okay, so simple guys, as you can see, he cannot read the Arabic again.
No problem. I've never been to school, ladies and gentlemen. I cannot read. Let the wise decide for themselves. I'm going to read the comedy book. See it for yourself. Can you mute your mic, please?
He cannot read. So continue with your
translation.
I don't believe that is the hadith. So
no problem.
I don't believe what you are reading is hadith. So you can't ask me a question on that.
When you come, you read it to your people and then tell them if I'm lying. Can you mute your mic? Let me make my point.
Go ahead.
Okay. So their own translation is translated by their own Sunni scholar, Muhsin Khan, right? Muhammad Muhsin Khan. This is a translation. So when he comes to answer, let him read all these jumbles here and explain it. So now this is here, narrated by Abu Dhar. He says, Allah's messenger said, this is God forbid. God's messenger will never say this garbage thing here. Wallahi lazim.
Go ahead with you are not lecturing. You are not lecturing. Go ahead with your question.
I'm going to ask you a question. I'm reading the question.
Ask the question and stop lecturing.
Siddiq, why are you interrupting me? I don't understand.
You are lecturing instead of asking a question. So that is it.
You came preaching instead of a debate. You were preaching earlier when we started.
Go ahead. Simple. Go ahead with the question. Go ahead.
Jama, look at what is going on here.
You have the platform. Go ahead with the question.
But Siddiq, don't interrupt me.
So go ahead with the question. I will interrupt you if you deviate. That is part of the.
Are you upset with the hadith or me?
Go ahead, ask question and don't give lectures. Simple.
Can you stop interrupting? Then I can read.
So read.
Please mute your mic for the sake of argument. When you are
No,
talking, I
read.
mute my mic. Can you mute your mic, please?
Read. Go ahead.
Siddiq,
I'm not talking.
mute your mic.
It is said in the rules, simple, that when you deviate, you'll be brought back to
Siddiq,
correction.
mute your mic.
That is not part of the rule. So read.
Subhanallah. Siddiq is upset with the hadith. Okay, no problem. While I was at Mecca, the roof of my house was opened and Jibril descended. It says Gabriel descended, opened my chest, washed it with Zamzam water. I wonder. Then he brought a golden tree full of wisdom and faith, and having poured its content into my chest. Listen carefully. I'm going to use the hadith to question him. So into my chest, and then he says what? He washed it with Zamzam. Then he brought a golden tray full of wisdom and faith, having poured its contents into my chest. He closed it. Then he took my hand and ascended with me to the nearest heaven. When I reached the nearest heaven, Jibril said to the gatekeeper of the heaven, listen carefully, open the gate. The gatekeeper asked, who is it? Jibril answered, it is Jibril. He asked, is there anyone with you? As if the gatekeeper is blind. He doesn't see anybody with Muhammad. So Jibril replied, yes, Muhammad is with me. He asked, has he been called? Jibril said, yes. So the gate was open and we went over the nearest heaven, and there was a man sitting with Aswida, a large number of people on his right, and Aswida, a large number of people on his left. When he looked towards his right, he laughed. And when he looked toward his left, he wept. So assuming this person will be looking, and then laughing, ha, 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 ha. This is what the hadith is telling you. He laughed. And then what happened is, then he said, welcome, O pious prophet and pious son. I asked Jibril, who is he? He replied, he is Adam. And then the people on his right and the left are the source of his offspring. Those on his right are people of the paradise. And those on his left are the people of hell. Then he says, and when he looked towards his right, he laughed. And when he looked towards his left, he wept. At the same time, a man doing this and crying and laughing. Okay. Then he ascended with me till he reached the second heaven, and he, Jibril, said to its gatekeeper, open the gate. Open the gate. The gatekeeper said to him, the same as the gatekeeper of the first said. As he opened the gate, Anna said, Abu Dhar added that the prophet met Adam, Idris, Musa, Isa, and Ibrahim, alayhimus salam. Then he says, he, Abu Dhar, did not mention on which heaven they were, but mentioned that he, the prophet, met Adam on the nearest heaven and Ibrahim on the sixth heaven. Anas said, when Jibril, along with the prophet, passed by Idris, the latter said, welcome, O pious prophet and pious brother. The prophet asked, who is he? Jibril replied, Idris. The prophet added, I passed by Moses, and he said, welcome, O pious prophet and pious brother. I asked Jibril, who is he? Jibril replied, he is Musa. Then I passed by Isa, and he said, welcome, O pious brother and pious prophet. I asked, who is he? Jibril replied, he is Isa, alayhi salam. Then I passed by Ibrahim, and he said, welcome, O pious prophet. Ladies and gentlemen, I know you are tired. Don't be tired, please. This is entertaining. And pious son, I asked Jibril, who is he? Jibril replied, he is Ibrahim. Then the prophet added, then Jibril ascended with me to a place where I heard the creaking of the pens. Creaking of which pens? Okay. Ibn Hazm and Anas bin Malik said, the prophet said, then Allah enjoined 50 salats on my followers. After God says, La mubaddila li kalimati, 50, we are going to see the best mathematician in history. And this is the question Siddiq has to answer. On my followers, when I return with this order of Allah, I pass by Musa. Remember, he already passed by Abraham, passed by all the prominent prophets, and now Musa is the smartest according to this hadith. So Musa asked me, what has Allah enjoined on your followers? Remember, Musa is dead, right? He's dead. He's gone with God. He's with God already. But Musa is now questioning Muhammad alayhi salam, whilst Jibril is there with him, whilst God is also watching. So this is what Musa did. Musa asked me, what has Allah enjoyed on your followers? I replied, he has enjoyed 50 salat on them. Musa said, go back to your Lord and appeal for what? Reduction. Seriously, this is what the hadith is saying. This hadith, they claim, is explaining the Quran. I'm going to see which verse of the Quran this hadith explains. Siddiq is going to tell us. A plea for reduction, for your followers will not be able to bear it. So I went back to Allah. So now Muhammad, these people are telling us is the best of creation. Somebody ordinary is now commanding Muhammad to go back to
Are you
God.
lecturing? Are you lecturing? Are you lecturing, or you're asking a question? Go ahead and ask the question.
This is your hadith.
Go
You
ahead.
asked me to read.
So,
No, you asked me to read.
Then you are lecturing. So go ahead and read and ask the question.
I have to read. I'm reading.
Go ahead.
You say your hadith. This is not me. It's your hadith. I have to read.
So stop lecturing. Go ahead. Wait, this one saying that Muhammad is the best. Where is it in the hadith? Go ahead and read the hadith.
I went back to Allah and requested for reduction, and He reduced it to half. Ladies and gentlemen, for 50, when you reduce to half, is what? 25. We are going to see the best mathematicians here. When I passed by Musa again and informed him about it, he said, go back to your Lord, as your followers will not be able to bear it. So I returned to Allah again. I requested for further reduction, and half of it was reduced again. So meaning he has not what? 12.5. So from 25, if half is reduced, is 12.5, right? I again passed by Musa, and he said to me, return to your Lord, for your followers will not be able to bear it. So I returned to Allah, and he said, these are 5 salats. So from 12.5, automatically, according to this hadith, the God of the hadith made it now 6. It's supposed to be 6.25, right? So now he made it 5. So now listen to what this God of the hadith will say, not the God of the Quran, God forbid. Listen to what he says. Then he says, these are 5 salats, and they are all equal to 50. I've never seen this kind of mathematics before. For my word does not change. And the God of this hadith again says his words does not change. Subhanallah. After changing 50 to 5. Then he says, I replied, now I feel shy. When Musa told Muhammad to go back, now Muhammad says he feels shy. After going 4 times, he wasn't shy. Then here he says, I replied, now I feel shy, asking my Lord again. Then Jibril took me. So all this while Jibril was standing, he doesn't know what Muhammad was doing, going back and forth. I don't know who was taking him back, but he took Muhammad back and forth without questioning Musa. So then he says, then Jibril took me till we reached Sidratul Muntaha, that is the low tree of the outmost boundary, which was shrouded in colors indescribable, right? But this person is describing it. Then I was admitted into paradise, where I found small walls of pearls, and its earth was of musk. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is the question for Siddiq. This is their own hadith. If he claim I'm lying, the Arabic is there, let him read it. He has all the time in the world to read it. The question goes, he should show me this hadith. He says the Prophet goes to take 50 prayers and it was negotiated to 5. I want to ask him. God says in Quran chapter 5 verse 3, Al-yawma akmaltu lakum dinakum wa atmamtu alaykum ni'mati wa raditu lakum al-islam dina. So God has completed Islam at the time of Muhammad by telling the people all in the Quran. So Siddiq, you have to tell us whether this hadith, was it actually that the Prophet went to collect the salat when the Quran was already there, or when Islam was already complete? And if Islam was already complete, the Quran actually have the salat there. But if Islam wasn't complete, that is, Prophet Muhammad was the one to go and bring the salats, and the salat he went to bring, there was no raka'at inside. According to the hadith, where is the raka'at? How many? Was it? How did you get the 17? Please elaborate and tell us how you got the 17, and clearly tell us which verses of the Quran does this particular hadith explain. Don't use your opinions. Give us the sources by your scholars and prove to us which verse of the Quran does this particular hadith explain. And in terms of mathematics, this hadith have flawed from 50 to half 25 to 12.5 to 6.25. It is nonsensical. So come and help us out. Which verse of the Quran does this hadith explain? So put your time and come on board.
Okay, so I guess we all heard the question clearly. He's asking about numbers, and he was using half because he was using translation. Please don't delete the hadith. I'm going to post it. And that is why I asked him to post the hadith in Arabic and read it in Arabic. Guys, you know why? The Arabic there, which I'm going to post it, there's the Arabic there. I pray it come quickly. And please pay attention to the Arabic there. Wallahi, there is no nisf, which says divided. Please don't interrupt.
Siddiq.
You see, he was talking about interrupting.
No. Wait. I'm talking about the timer. I have to interrupt you. The timer is not there. I need to see the timer.
I'm presenting the hadith. So how do you expect the timer?
No, it happened to me. when I was answering your question, I didn't use anything on the screen because you put a timer on the screen for people to see. So you have to put the timer and explain the hadith. I'm listening.
No problem. It is very easy, even easy. So don't worry. I'll put it there.
Okay.
Okay. So. Okay. So again, you see, he has posted 3 hadith, which are all lies. He was lying. The text is different, and he was saying something different. Number 1, about Nana Aisha saying that in the hadith, he said grown-up men, when it was yuhramna. And secondly, Sayyidina Umar, radiallahu anhu, saying that accusing people who will come and then say that we didn't find this in the Quran, therefore we will not do it. He said that Sayyidina Umar is saying that that is in the Quran. Thirdly, he has presented this hadith, and that's why I wanted it in Arabic text. The hadith clearly said, the hadith clearly said that shatru. That's what the hadith says. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he went to, when he was taken to the heavens, and if he denies this in the Quran, in Surah Isra, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he said that he went to Isra with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That is taking, how do you call it? Taking the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to the above. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Isra, verse 1, Allah said, Subhanalladhi أسرى بعبده ليلا من المسجد الحرام إلى المسجد الأقصى باركنا حوله لنريه من آياتنا. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he did Isra and he did Mi'raj with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That is known by all Muslims all across board. So yes, there's Isra wal Mi'raj. Can the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam be taken to heaven? Yes, we believe in that. How was that done? Allahu a'lam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala just told us about the A'raja bihi, that he was taken to the heavens. We believe in that. Now, saying that the hadith says shatru, wallahi, anyone who knows Arabic, it's not for you, the one who don't know Arabic, you just type shatru, they'll give you, say half. Shatru can mean half, Shatru doesn't necessarily mean half, it means part of something. So when you go to, someone should type shatru layl, type Shatrul Layl, and you find out it will give you Shatrul Laylul Awwal, Al-Thani, and Thalith, meaning part of the night. So the hadith is saying that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he took the 50 prayers, and this in the hadith, which I'll come back to, that the hadith was teaching something, which because Allah has blindfolded them and misguided them due to their heart desires, they could not even understand what the hadith is trying to teach. Again, the hadith is saying that Shatru was reduced, meaning part of the salah was reduced. This ignorance of the Arabic language and the Quran and the hadith.
Siddiq, you haven't recited Arabic.
No, I'm not putting it there.
No, I can put it there. Read all the Arabic and tell the people. Don't read half. Read everything.
Where is it? Where is it? I should put. I should.
You have it. Don't you? Where is your Hadith books? Are they lost? You don't have the Hadith books again.
I'm saying that if you said it's not even needed, you said it's not even needed for you to even put it there.
Screen, I said. On the screen,
so what is in the hadith is Shatru, and when I finish in my last minutes, I'll put it there for everyone to see. Don't worry. You are interrupting me. You are interrupting me, and that's 1 minute out of my time.
You extend your time. Don't worry. Pause the time.
I paused it, and that's
today you will read it. You have to read it.
Don't worry. I'll read it loud for everyone to hear. The hadith is Shatru.
Yes,
you are saying half necessarily.
No problem. You read it.
So I'm putting the hadith there. I'm putting it there. Don't worry.
No, you don't have to put it on the screen. Read it. I'm cross-checking
I'm putting
it
on the screen. No. I'm putting for people to see. What smartness you
people
trying to
don't
say?
notice. I'm debating with you.
So this is it.
No. We need a timer also. Siddiq, I need a time. You read it, we can hear.
What are you now saying? What you are saying now has no basis. What are you now saying?
Siddiq.
So
this is the hadith.
So what are you now saying?
No, wait. Okay, no problem. I can spare you the time. That time the 2 minutes left. I can spare you. Read the hadith in Arabic fully. Let's cross-check you. Read it. You are the answerer. Read it.
Okay, so start the hadith.
No, you are the answerer. You have to answer. So read it in full.
You are the one in control of the hadith. Am I the one in control of the hadith? You are the one in control of the hadith.
I'm done asking you a question. You don't have to ask me a question. You don't have the right to ask me a question right now. You are answering the question. Can you read it in Arabic?
So you have the thing. I don't have it. So where do I write? Where do I read it?
That is it on the screen. This is Arabic, ladies and gentlemen. This is Arabic. I can make it bigger for you. Siddiq, do you need glasses? Here's it. Let's go step by step, please. Let's go. Read it. Please read it. We are going to read all. So you're answering my question.
وقال ابن عباس حدثني أبو سفيان حدثني هرقل. حدثني سفيان في حديث هرقل يأمرنا يعني النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم بالصلاة والصدق والعفاف. حدثنا يحيى بن بكير and I'm reading what you are presenting. حدثنا يحيى بن بكير قال حدثنا الليث عن يونس عن ابن شهاب عن أنس بن مالك رضي الله عنه قال كان أبو ذر يحدث أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال فرج عن سقف بيتي وأنا بمكة فنزل جبريل ففرج صدري ثم غسله بماء وزمزم ثم جاء بطست من ذهب ممتلئ ثم جاء بطست من ذهب ممتلئ حكمة وإيمانا فافرغه في صدري ثم أطبقه ثم أخذ بيدي فعرج بي إلى سماء الدنيا فلما جئت إلى السماء الدنيا قال جبريل قال جبريل لخازن السماء افتح. قال من هذا؟ قال نعم. قال it's going up and down. Why? It's not stable.
No, it's on.
قال جبريل قال هل معك أحدا؟ قال نعم معي محمد. فقال أرسل إليه؟ قال نعم. فلما فتح علونا السماء الدنيا فإذا رجل قاعد على يمينه أسودة وعلى يساره أسودة إذا نظر قيل يمينه ضحك قبل يمينه ضحك وإذا نظر قبل يساره بكى. فقال مرحبا بالنبي الصالح والابن وابن الصالح. قلت لجبريل من هذا؟ قال هذا آدم وهذه الأسودة عن يمينه وشماله نسم بنيه فأهل اليمين منهم أهل الجنة والأسودة التي عن شماله أهل النار فإذا نظر عن يمينه ضحك وإذا نظر قبل شماله بكى حتى عرج بي إلى السماء الثانية فقال لخازنها افتح. فقال له خازنها مثل ما قال الأول ففتح. قال أنس فذكر أنه وجد في السماوات آدم وإدريس وموسى وعيسى وإبراهيم صلوات الله عليهم ولم يثبت كيف منازلهم غير أنه ذكر أنه وجد آدم في السماء الدنيا وإبراهيم في السماء السادسة. قال أنس فلما مر جبريل بالنبي صلى الله عليه وسلم بإدريس قال مرحبا بالنبي الصالح والأخ الصالح. فقلت من هذا؟ قال هذا إدريس. ثم مررت بموسى فقال مرحبا بالنبي الصالح والأخ الصالح. قلت من هذا؟ قال هذا موسى. ثم مررت بعيسى فقال مرحبا بالأخ الصالح والنبي الصالح. قلت من هذا؟ قال هذا عيسى. ثم مررت ثم مررت بإبراهيم فقال مرحبا بالنبي صالح والابن صالح. قلت من هذا؟ قال هذا إبراهيم. قال ابن شهاب فأخبرني ابن حزم أن ابن عباس وأبا حبة الأنصاري كان يقولان قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ثم عرج بي حتى طهرت لمستوى أسمع فيه صريف الأقلام. قال ابن حزم وأنس بن مالك قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ففرض الله على أمتي 50 صلاة فرجعت بذلك حتى مررت على موسى فقال ما فرض الله لك على أمتك؟ قلت فرض 50 صلاة. قال موسى فارجع إلى ربك فإن أمتك لا تطيق ذلك. فرجعني فوضع this is a hadith فوضع شطرها. This is what I'm talking about. This is the hadith فوضع شطرها and part of it was removed, was taken out, was placed aside. So what else do you want me to read? This is what the point I'm making. He said I should read, and I've spent God knows how many minutes to read.
Now,
so now what do you want again?
No, Siddiq, wait.
Mm-hmm.
You said you are saying part, right? Tell me, give us one source of your scholars where they translated this as part.
So when you say scholars, who do you mean by scholars?
Wait, the shatara, you said it can mean half, right? That's what you said.
I said it can mean half, it can mean part. So why did you choose half?
Okay, according to you, because we are not following your teachings. You are following your scholars' teachings, right?
Who is my teaching? Who is my scholar? Who do you know my scholar?
Oh, you don't have your scholars? So no more Qurtubi.
My scholar is Dr. Ahmed. My scholar is
no more Qurtubi. You don't need Qurtubi.
I don't have a translate. Qurtubi?
You don't need
translate. Does it make Hadith Qurtubi?
You don't need
Ibn Quran, yeah, Sheikh.
No. So you don't have Ibn Kathir, Ibn Abbas. You don't need them today.
Ibn Kathir, was he translating? Was he making a definition of this hadith?
Okay, so who defined this hadith to mean is part of the Quran?
Shatr, simple Arabic. Shatr means part. Shatr means part of.
Is it the only meaning?
Simple.
Please confess. Is it the only meaning? Shatr.
I have already you see how you are worked up.
No. Answer. Is it the only meaning?
I have already said that shatr can mean half. It can also mean part of something. Simple.
No. But in this context, you tell me, where did your scholars translate this as part?
When you say my scholars, which scholars is the one you mentioned? You said Mohsen.
So now you don't have scholars.
Who told you is my scholar?
No, okay.
I don't have scholars who use English as the deen. I don't have.
So where did the Prophet say it means
Google?
part?
I don't have Google.
Siddiq,
how do you call it?
Siddiq, who translated it as part for you? Tell us today. Who translated as part?
Okay, if you want right now, I can investigate the hadith. If you want right now, I can investigate the hadith right now and then bring you where it is said how the shatr means part of it.
No, I'm not talking about the meaning of Arabic. I did it with Aswadi.
This is Arabic. Why did you choose to use the word half? Why did you choose to use the word half?
Siddiq, wait. I was translating the question you asked me. I talked about Abiyadu and Aswadi going to the.
Why I said read Arabic and leave translation. You see why I said read Arabic and leave translation?
No, I did it. The Shatru.
I don't have a Google Sheikh. I don't have a Google Sheikh.
Siddiq, your scholar Muhsin Khan. Siddiq, your scholar.
I don't even know him. I don't use translation.
Your scholar translated it as half. You tell your scholars. Siddiq, please listen to my question.
You are making things up.
But you just lied. You just said part. It's not part. It's half.
It's half. You are saying it's half. Shatr means also means.
Then prove me wrong. Something. Prove me wrong. Your hadith book says half.
Which hadith? Now you have chosen. So let me. So now leave it and let me answer.
Muhsin Khan is useless, right?
I don't even know him. I don't know the one you're talking. I don't know him.
Oh, your own scholars.
I'm not a Google student.
Okay, so which of your scholars, Siddiq, which of your scholars have explained this hadith for you?
I don't even have translations of books. See. You don't Siddiq. Books, but let me see my books. They are in Arabic. I don't have translations of books. That's why I learned the Lughat al-Arabiyya bilisan al-hal.
So you are using your whims and desires. You are using your whims and desire to translate the hadith, right?
You don't know Arabic. You were thinking that shatr just means half. So that is you.
No, did I say it only means half? No, did I say it only means half?
You have asked your question. Let me answer. You have asked your question. Let me answer.
But you made a mistake. You fumbled.
There is no mistake here.
Okay, Siddiq, tell us. Tell us. Which Google? Siddiq, which verse? Which verse does this explain? Which verse? Does the
we are reading hadith. We are reading hadith.
Okay, no, continue.
If you have any, we are reading hadith. So again, the hadith, you see, he was doubt when I said there's shatr, and he said I should read Arabic. I read it and I got there and it's worked up again. When I read it and I got there, he's worked up again. So the hadith said, let me bring the timer because I'm already done with this part. Let me bring the timer. So again, 5 minutes is left with this. Okay. So as we can see, the hadith is saying shatr. Because he doesn't know how do you call it, Arabic. He was just bringing how do you call it, half because he's a Google scholar. According to him, is a scholar. So he was saying shatr. Shatr means how do you call it?
Siddiq, why are you muting me? Why are you muting me? Your time is up.
Which time? This is the timer bed.
No. Listen. I gave you spare time. I stopped the time. And I said,
I didn't finish my time. Yeah, Sheikh Google. I didn't finish my time.
Siddiq, you finished your time long time ago.
You permitted me to bring the hadith there and read it in Arabic. And I warned you that then I'll take the timer off. When I finish, I'll present it. That is what I said. Yeah, Sheikh,
No problem.
Google.
No problem. I gave him.
So again, he has lied. 3 times hadith he presented. 3 times hadith he presented. He was saying that 12, 17. Wallahi, that's what I said. They build their own.
You haven't finished reading the hadith.
The point here is
you got to shut up.
That's the point. That is the point. So leave it for me to answer.
It's not the point. No. My guy, don't lie.
Google. Yeah, Sheikh, Google. Leave it for me to answer. Why are you interrupting? Why you worked up? Why are you worked up? If a word can mean different things, you choose to use one and you left the one, and you see you built your own schema. You built your own schema. That's what I said. And anyone who doesn't, like a child who calls everything that with 4 legs, he calls it dog. That's what you're doing. Shatr everywhere you see shatr, then you say half. So everyone who doesn't believe in that, the person is an ignorant, the person is a mushrik, the person is a how do you call it? Hadith rejecter. So this is the problem, Jama, as we can see, this is the problem with this people. 3 hadith he has presented, he has lied on the hadith, and you see clearly he doesn't know Arabic. Because if he knows Arabic, he would have known that how do you call it? Shatr doesn't only mean half; it also means part of something. Again, هذا بيان للناس which is part of my time is not finished, so I'm going there. I'm making use of my time. هذا بيان للناس. He said, I said بيان للناس means the people, which is another lie. I said بيان للناس is when Allah said سيروا في الأرض فانظروا كيف كان عاقبة الذين من قبلكم. Travel to the lands and go and see how we dealt. So how we dealt with the people before you is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling the Prophet. The way Allah dealt with them is bayan. In itself is an explanation, linnas, for the people. And then he lied that the bayan is talking about the Quran. And that is my point. You see, what I'm trying to do here is that the time is not enough. So I'm making use of every bit of time I have to refute anything that he said that is misguidance, except the one that maybe I will not be able to remember. And Jama, inshallah, this ends at the time of the my time is still not up. This ends the time for how do you call it? What it calls back and forth, which is cross-examination. It's time for you now to ask your question. When you ask your question, I will just place it here. I'll just show it for people to see how do you call it? See the question, and then we will answer. So again, so I have like 10 seconds. Again, he lied 3 hadith that he brought. He doesn't know their meaning, and he was lying. Hadith of Aisha, hadith of Umar, and then the hadith of Isra wal Mi'raj. He lied on them. He doesn't know Arabic, and it is clear. It is clear. So it's time for the audience to ask their questions. We are waiting for the questions. Question of the audience. Okay, so please direct your question. When you ask your question, direct it to the one you are asking. Direct your question. If it's me, you type my name. If it's Baba Shuaib, you type his name.
Siddiq, with the question, we have to limit the time to 15 minutes before we end the program. We have done more than the planned agreed time, so we have to squeeze the time a bit.
So like what? How many minutes? Your suggestion?
15 minutes max.
50 minutes.
Yeah, 15 minutes max for the audience.
If you have been asked a question and you
we use 5 minutes to answer, right? So it depends. It doesn't matter who they ask.
So 15 minutes each, is that what you're saying?
No. 15 minutes each is too much. We can use let's say 10 minutes each. Does it?
So we are taking like only 4 questions, 2 for you, 2 for me.
Yeah, like that, because we have already exhausted the time. Look at the time we have done up there, 3 hours.
Okay, so let me go up. Let me go up for the first for a question I've seen. So you will choose. You can also choose a question for me if you want. So I'm going to select a question.
Yeah, my audience can also send questions for Siddiq. Then I can give it to him. So my audience, if you're watching, also. Okay, so Balogun is asking a question. Did you mean? Yeah, Balogun is asking a question for you, Sadiq. He says, my question goes to
in the last comment.
Yeah, last comment at the 1 hour at 1:59 a.m.
Okay, I'm trying to present. Okay, so there's Idris here says, Does praise Khamsa Salawat? If no, then can clearly say he's complete. Okay, so this, I think, a judgment, complete kafir, then I think this is rather a statement than a question. So let's post it in the form of a question, inshallah. Okay, my first question, one, Baba, you said, okay, so let me, the one I deem fit to be a question, I'll put, but the one that is, how do you call it? A form of declaration or something, I'll just leave it. Tali, the questions are coming plenty, so, okay. Okay, so, okay. There is one here which says, from Abdul Rahim, say, my first question, one, Baba, you said you don't believe in the hadith. God said we should pray. Who explained how we should pray? And this from Abdul Rahim. Baba, would you like to answer that?
Yeah, I like to. I can answer that. He said, Baba, you said you don't believe in hadith. That is the. I said I don't believe in hadith. Well, I don't believe in fabricated hadith. That's what I said. The hadith which is not actually approved by God and His messenger. So he says God said
We are
we
talking
should
about technical
pray.
hadith, not linguistic hadith. Baba,
No,
please let's
Siddiq,
be cautious.
the questioner is questioning. You don't tell me how he was questioning. I can read it myself. So if the questioner can explain his question,
So
that's better.
go ahead.
Don't explain it for him. God said we should pray. Who explained how we should pray? Your answer is found in the Quran. God explained how we should pray, and the answer is in the Quran. For instance, we are following the footsteps of the prophets themselves. If you go to Quran chapter 19, verse 58, and you read up to verse 59, it tells you how the prophets did their salat, and you are also supposed to follow their footsteps the same way. If you go to Quran chapter 6, verse 90, God says, if I remember the verse, let me put the verse, then I can quote it. Chapter 6, verse 90, that is Surah Al-An'am. Ulaika allazina ada Allah fabi udahum aktadi. So if you go to Quran chapter 60, verse 90, it tells you all these prophets are the ones God has guided, and you will be guided.
Okay. So I'm supposed to pause the timer, and you've already done some part of it, but still I'll still give you the time. I'm supposed to pause the timer, but I think that.
Okay.
Is the timer on?
You have to put it on the screen.
Is the timer on?
No, take the question out, then it will show. The timer will show.
Okay.
If you take the question off the screen, then the timer will show.
Okay, then this is going to be tough. Anyway, just go ahead. If you finish, let me know that you are finished.
So based on the question the person has asked, if you go to Quran chapter 19, Surah Al-Maryam, chapter 19, verse 58 to 59, you see the notion of the Salat. You go to Quran chapter 17, verse 107 to 109, you see it there. And if actually you complete the context, it talks about the Salat till the end. And also we go to chapter 32, verse 15, you see the same example of how they did the Salat. When the verses of God are recited to them, they fall down, showing their submission in prostration. So it is a notion of actually submitting to the verses of God when it comes to Salat. You uphold Salat for the zikr of God. Quran chapter 20, verse 40. Innani ala Allah la ilaha illa ana fa'budni wa aqimi salat li zikri. So you establish the Salat for the remembrance of God. So everything you want to know concerning Salat is found in the context of the Quran, not outside. So then you follow such examples from the distance that guidance God has given you in the Quran. So if I say I don't believe in Hadith, it's not mere saying I don't believe in Hadith. The Quran says in Quran chapter 45, verse 6, فَبِأَيِّ حَدِيثِ بَعْدَ اللَّهِ وَآيَاتِهِ يُؤْمِنُونَ. In which Hadith after God and His verses.
You are permitted to use the time, but it sticks to the question. The question is how do we offer the prayers?
No, that's not only the question. He says, Baba, you said you don't believe in Hadith. I need to I need to talk about the Hadith first before going to which I just did. So I've shown the answers to the question that the person have asked. So that's the point. I spoke about Hadith and I spoke about
how do you pray? How is the prayers done?
How should we pray? I just gave the answer. I just quoted the verses where he finds the answer to the question.
Okay, so guys, he said yes, answered that. So
Yeah.
let's take
So now you take from my questioners, from my audience. There's Yakub Tabor Yusuf is asking a question. He says, at Siddiq, do you agree that there are other hadith that says a verse of stoning was revealed? He's asking you a question. Like Abu Muhammad, let me see. He put the, I don't know if you see his question or has he skipped?
the questions are keeps on coming, so they keep escaping. So
He
please, if
asked
you're asking
around,
a question, keep asking
he
the same
asked,
question again and again so that we can see. Okay.
he asked around 1:59 a.m. But okay, the question keeps coming. I think the best way will have been that people
Okay,
should call.
Okay, so you can reframe the question if you saw the question, or you can choose a different question. I also saw a question from Abu Orison. He's asking, which has also escaped me, but I can remember. He's asking that where did you study?
No,
Quran,
you
and
have
what
to
are your
answer.
credentials?
It's your turn to answer a question. Choose a question from my audience. I'm not answering your audience
Okay.
yet. I've already answered. Choose my
Okay.
audience and answer.
Okay, so let me see. Siddiq, okay. What is the hadith that gives us detailed explanation on how to pray regarding the 5 prayers? What? Okay, so when you say detail, which I don't know how to understand, but I'll try to understand the question and answer. When you say detail, do you mean all the fara'id in the salah, meaning the compulsory aspect of the salah, like sujood and ruku and all that? Then we can find that in the Sahihain in Bukhari and Muslim. Okay, we can find that in Bukhari and Muslim. But if you want maybe a part where, okay, this one did not mention surah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, hello.
Sir.
Hello. Baba, you were talking, oh? Hello.
No, somebody
Hello, your mic is on. Okay, so I'm answering one question. So let me finish that. Okay, so in Bukhari and Muslim, in the Kutub al-Sitta, the 6 books, we call it famous books of hadith, not authentic books of hadith, the 6 famous. Okay, you'll find the prayers being narrated in it. And what we do with the Quran, both the Quran and the hadith, is what we call jam'ul ayati fi mawdi'il wahid. And that's the first thing. For you to bring a hukum from something, a judgment from something, you need to bring the relative verses of the Quran together. For example, zakah. You need to bring all the verses of zakah together so that you'll be able to explain them accordingly. And then also the ahadith of zakah together. So we have something called jam'ul ahadith fi mawdi'il wahid, and it's the same thing to the Quran. Okay, you don't just pick a Quranic verse and then make issue out of it. Just like the Quraniyun, they do this sect. They call some people sect and they leave themselves. Okay, just like they pick on one verse and they will intentionally say that they're picking from other verses. Anyway, so that is how the hadith is dealt with. There's hadith that narrates from where to start from takbir and then end with taslim. Okay, but where you want, okay, so why didn't the hadith mention surah here? Why didn't the hadith mention subhana rabbiyal a'la? We say we do jam'ul ahadith. We gather all the hadith in one place and then it is being explained accordingly. So we don't just pick here and there and then we say, okay, and that is the deal. Okay, so let's use this one as the next question. Then please, if you're, like I said, if you're asking a question, keep asking the question so that it will not go up for us not to see. So this one is saying, Babba, I don't know what he's trying to say, but he said, we want to know where you learned your Quran. Baba, that's your question. That's your question. I can't hear you. That's your question.
Wait. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
If he's saying we want to know where you learned your Quran, in which sense is he asking the question? Is he talking about where I learned the Quran in terms of, is it reading? Is it reciting? Is it actually understanding the guidance? What aspect of where I learned the Quran is he talking about? If he's talking about me going to the madrasa to actually learn the Quran in such a way that according to the sectarian point of view, yes, I've been to madrasa in the past. I've been to Irshadiya. I've been to Darussalam. For those based in Nima, they know me. They know my background. But when you are talking about where do I learn my Quran, I've done online studies. I've done online thorough studies concerning how the sequence, the understanding, the structure of the Quran, the language of the Quran, the understanding of how words work in the Quran. That I've done subsequent lectures, taking lectures on that via online. That I've done over the years for over 13 years. So if that is the question you want to ask, yes, this is how I've learned the Quran. But your question has to be specific enough for me to be able to give you the breakdown as to what exactly do you want to understand from how I learned the Quran. But to seal it all, God is actually the teacher of the Quran when it comes to understanding the guidance of the Quran. So I take my guidance from the Quran. Anything any other person will say which contradicts the words of God, I don't accept it. I take what the Quran says, and that is my source of guidance. So that is the answer to the question.
Okay, so you see, there was a question which I didn't understand, and I don't need to, where the person is asking about the detail of the salah, which I didn't necessarily understand that. The person is asking basically where you learned your Quran from. For example, me, where I learned my Quran from is I learned it from the scholars of the Quran, such as Dr. Ahmed and co. So I can mention the one I complete the Quran with, and then the one here. So that is what the person probably is asking. So
no.
You can answer.
Siddiq, no, you don't ask the question for the questioner. The questioner has asked his question. You answered your question previously. Wait, you answered the question previously according to the way you understood his question, and you gave him the answer. So now the questioner has asked me a question. The same way he packaged it, I have to package it the same way and give it back. So don't be the exposition. Don't do any exposition.
So you don't have anyone you can testify that you studied the Quran from.
Now you and I, we are done with our question and answer section. So let's deal with the audience. Now it's my turn. Take my audience also.
Okay, so sure. No, you select a question and then I'll
let me see. Somebody was trying to ask a question. That is Balogun is asking you a question. He says, Siddiq, my question goes to Siddiq. Did you mean? Oh, yes, sorry. Siddiq, somebody's trying. Did you mean those hadith scholars are not knowledgeable enough to translate your hadith?
Okay, when he said, do I know that those scholars are not that knowledgeable to translate my hadith? Is that a question?
Yeah, that is a question.
Okay, so when he said those scholars, who is he talking about? Is he talking about the one you mentioned the name? Is it Mohsin Khan? Okay, so first of all, who in the field of hadith, you need someone you took it from, and then the person took it from someone, and that's how we know someone who is a student of knowledge or a scholar. Okay, a scholar is not someone who are just taking pen and then just writing and just rattling. So a scholar took it from someone, and that's our religion. Our religion is Taslim, Islam, submission. You don't bring your own stuff.
Siddiq, he said the hadith scholars. He says hadith scholars of.
So when he said hadith scholars, I don't. Which hadith scholar made the translation? That's Mohsin Khan I'm talking about, the one you presented.
So do you agree Mohsin Khan is a scholar?
I don't even know him. So that's what I'm saying.
Now,
I don't know him.
The questioner is asking. He says, my question goes to Siddiq. Did you mean those hadith scholars are not knowledgeable enough to translate your hadith books? That's his question. So
again, so you leave that for me and don't show me how to answer that, okay?
No, I'm saying that the question. Only.
I've heard the question, so I'm saying that you say you don't want to be interrupted, but you like to interrupt, and that is funny. So just leave that for me.
I'm not interrupting you. The question
I need to that for me. I heard the question. You are saying that the one you are presenting here, if you said translated, which hadith scholar? Which hadith scholar? So that's the thing. If you can answer for the person, which hadith scholar made the translation? Who are you talking about? Which hadith scholar? So again, there is no hadith scholar here. If Mohsin Khan is a hadith scholar, then I have to go and check. First of all, who even bestowed that on him? Because that is it. If you can't call yourself a graduate and you don't have anywhere you graduated from. So I don't know Mohsin Khan. I don't know Mohsin. I don't use translations. Then that's the honest fact. Unless it becomes necessary for me to go and then search for it. So I don't know whom hadith scholars. They are hadith scholars. The hadith scholar is not by lips. It's not by just sitting on Google or something or writing whatever you want. Hadith scholars are known. If someone is not known by students of hadith, if by student of hadith and the student of the deen, the person is called majhul. The person is called majhul, unknown by the scholars. It doesn't mean the person is not known online or not known by ignorance, okay, or not known by the masses. They may be known by the masses, but the person is not known among the students of knowledge in hadith. So I don't know whom, when he say hadith scholars, he should mention one person that is hadith scholar, and the person has made translation, and I'm saying that the person doesn't know. Okay, even I didn't even say that, okay, Mohsen Khan didn't know. I'm saying that if you have studied Arabic, it's only two things. You should know the Arabic that you are reading, and you should know how many different faces it can take before you yourself you make it. So I'm speaking of my own Arabic that I took from my scholars and their scholars and to the classical Arabic, and that's what I'm saying. And I've studied English. I'm a graduate, so I know English. So if I'm translating, I don't need to look into someone's translation. And that is what I'm saying. So it's as simple as that. I don't know Mohsen Khan. I don't know if he's a scholar. I don't know if he's even a hadith scholar or a student of hadith. Khalas.
Now we have answered two questions. So I guess that's a wrap. We are done.
Sure, if you have a final say, you can.
Yeah.
Wrap
Okay.
up with
So, ladies and gentlemen, my audience, thank you all for the support and being present to actually support the Quran and what it has to offer. And like I said, we tried our best to manage. You can see, even though there is a bit temperamental actions, but we were able to manage it as well. I think Sadiq can agree with me. In between, when you don't agree with each other, there could be some misunderstandings, and but at least we have been able to see the end of this debate. But if God permits, we will find a better means to handle these issues going forward, right? So ladies and gentlemen, this is what we have presented for Does the Hadith Explain the Quran? So for all people who are supporting the truth, you see the evidences I presented on the table. We have seen clearly that the Hadith doesn't stand the test of time to actually explain any verse from the Quran. And actually, Siddiq has proven to us that it takes his own whims and desires to explain something from the Quran, and yet he didn't even rely on his scholars to prove any evidence. And neither did he use even the Prophet Muhammad to give any explanation from the Hadith or the Quran. He used his own whims and desires and his scholars. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for being paying attention. And then I'll be doing a post debate explanation on this, inshallah, this coming week, inshallah. So thank you for the platform, Siddiq, and thank you for the audience, both my loved ones and my enemies. I love you all. Keep the hate coming. I love it. So thank you all, those who watch, Nur Hassan, Yaqub, all those who are here, Sabrin, Naima, all of you. Thank you, Baba Seydou, Salis, all of you. I appreciate the support. Thank you very much. So Siddiq, this is where I bring this into an end. And then we back channel, we talk at the back, inshallah.
Okay, so cherished listeners, as we all witnessed, first of all, I intended not to be quoting a hadith. Okay, not to be quoting a hadith until he brings in a hadith. I intended to be using the Quran, the verses he will be using all this while. I intended to be using the verses he will be using all this while. Okay, and that is what I intended to do, and I did justice to that. Secondly, the hadith he brought, 3 hadiths to ask a question. In all, 2 of them, they were fabrications from his own self into the hadith, which we exposed them. He said, Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu said that hadith or rajm, or there's a verse in rajm in the Quran, okay, which we prove to him that is ignorance of the Quran. Secondly, the first one is with Aisha radiallahu anha in the hadith where he was putting yuhrabna, he was saying that grown-ups, okay, which again we exposed him in that. And then he went ahead with the last hadith where he because he doesn't know Arabic and the details of Arabic, he was trying to use portion of Arabic to distort the hadith, which again we expose him in that. And lastly, I'm ending with the definition of the verse of the Quran where Allah said, وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يُجَادِلُ فِي اللَّهِ بِغَيْرِ عِلْمٍ وَلَا هُدًى وَلَا كِتَابٍ مُنِيرٍ. Among the mankind, there are those that argue in the issues of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala without knowledge, without guidance, and without a clear book. In this verse, it is said, Ibn Kathir, he said, لما ذكر تعالى حال الضلال الجهال المقلدين. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala exposed the issue of those, the affairs of those who are misguided, ignorant people, and they just follow what they think is right. He said when Allah mentioned that, Allah ذكر في هذه حال الدعاة إلى الضلال. Allah mentioned those who call to misguidance, those who call to misguidance من رؤوس الكفرة, from those who are disbelievers, والبدع, and those who are innovators into the religion. Our religion was transmitted to us by the Prophet Muhammad and from the Sahaba and the Tabi'in. And lastly, he mentioned that what Allah means by بغير علم, not knowledge, no guidance, and no clear books, is that بلا عقل صحيح. They don't have clear logic. They don't use clear mind to argue. They don't have عقل صحيح. ولا نقل صريح. They don't have evidences from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What they do is بل بالمجرد الرأي والهوى. They just go ahead just with their own whims and their own thoughts to be speaking in the name of we are using Quran and Quran. And lastly is the hadith, is a statement, the author of Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu. Beloved, we should take this very seriously. The reason why these people have fallen into the pit they are falling in, the reason, well, let's listen to the reason. The reason why they are into this kufr, they are into this disbelief, and they don't want to open their eyes is because of some things. The first of all is because they are ignorant. Like Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu, he said, and as we can see, they are ignorant. Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu, he said that they have failed. These people, they are the enemies of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Ashabur ra'i a'da'us sunani. They are the enemies of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, "Ayathum al-Qur'an an yahfaduha." They fail to attend makaranta. They fail to sit in front of the scholars to memorize the tradition of Islam. وَتَفَلَّتَتْ مِنْهُمْ أَن يَعُوهَا. And they fail to understand it. What did they do? فَعَرَضُوا عَنْهَا. And they rejected the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They rejected Islam. So out of ignorance, that is number one. You can imagine why the disbelievers, those who are from CSF, those who are from I don't believe in any God, those who are from this, they are all supporting such a person. Because that is their thing, inshallah. That is my final statement. Here, he decided to have his final statement. I didn't cut him. This is my final statement. Let's put this into practice and we'll see that that is the reason. They have no knowledge, no guidance. And that is why they are into that disbelief. You can see he couldn't recite the Quran, he couldn't recite Hadith, and he doesn't even know the meaning of what he's reciting. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. We will take the questions here at the post debate questions. We will take the questions here. Some of the questions that belongs to me, I will answer them, inshallah. And the one that belongs to them, we'll post it to him for him to see, to go and answer it, inshallah. We are not going to ignore important questions here. So, inshallah, barakallahu fikum for the questions, inshallah. May we all open our hearts, and this shouldn't be like Arsenal and Barcelona or something like that. This should be an eye-opener, someone who can read and understand, between someone who cannot read nor understand, someone who cannot even mention where he studied the Quran. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.